What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 10PB Chapter 226 Let me bear the hatred and sin, seeking subscription. Advertisement prestige checks and balances. As soon as Qing Yu's voice fell, Nagato and Konan were shocked at the same time and froze. The expressions of the two were exactly the same, which was extremely shocking. No doubt, this is the first time they have heard of such a vocabulary. And after that, hear Qing Yu's explanation, they even saw it in an instant. Within the ninja realm, there must be an organization capable of surpassing the 5 major powers, acting as a deterrent and directing the operation of the ninja realm. And outside the ninja realm, there must also be an organization that bears the evils of the whole world, acting as a deterrent to the opposing side and suppressing the entire ninja realm. This, don't say it's listening, they couldn't even think of such a bold plan. Nagato and Konan looked at each other. Both saw a look of horror in each other's eyes. Qing Yu, who deserves to be the ceiling of strength. Even this plan to create peace has such a big pattern. However, although I feel the pattern, Nagato still cannot understand the logic. He looked at Qing Yu again, thought for a moment, and then said intricately, I do not quite understand, through this deterrent confrontation between the two parties. Isn't it more likely to increase the possibility of a war breaking out? Moreover, you just said that the so-called deterrents can easily cause a chain reaction of hatred through pain, so as to sow the seeds of war. Nagato stared at the 060 feathers and whispered. However, after hearing these words, Qing Yu still maintained a faint smile. He just raised his eyes slightly, and then smiled leisurely. So, we need to transfer the hatred, read? As soon as Qing Yu's voice fell. Nagato's mouth suddenly made a subconscious voice of doubt. On his face, the expression was even more haunted. Transfer hatred? What is this operation? It's another vocabulary that he has never heard of. At this time, Qing Yu lifted up slightly, and while walking towards the front window, he smiled and said, the peace plan you envisioned in the past, in fact. I just want to be half right. That's right, the power of the tail beast weapon does have a strong power. It's also enough to surpass the 5 great nations and rule the world of ninja. However, this kind of commanding position brought about by pain and aggression cannot completely stabilize the situation. Or, even if it does happen one day, Akatsuki uses the tail beast weapon to become the organization that governs the 5 powers. Then, after all this deterrence fades away, because of the chain reaction of hatred, war will inevitably breed again. By then, the peace in the ninja world will be completely disintegrated. So, we need to transfer all the hatred in the ninja world. That is, bearing evil deterrence against the side. Having said that, Qing Yu paused slightly, turned around and smiled. Just think about it if one day in the future, an extremely powerful organization appears in the ninja realm, it will overwhelm the entire ninja realm with a terrifying force, the 5 great nations will be completely invincible, and the world will face the end. Across the entire world, everyone's hatred is directed at this dark organization. But at this moment, another organization suddenly appeared. They appear like heroes, surpassing the 5 great nations, commanding the ninja realm with a powerful force, and contending with the evil organization. Finally regained the peace of shinobi. Qing Yu stared at Nagato and Konan with a smile, and said leisurely. However, after the voice fell, the two of them suddenly shook involuntarily and froze directly. For a moment, they are like divine initiation. In the shock, there is still a feeling of sudden realization. This turns out to be like this, although this plan sounds troublesome. Advertisement, but isn't this just a scene to save the world? The Square organization leads the 5 major countries to deal with an extremely powerful opposition organization, and finally wins and shares the fruits of peace. It turns out that peace can also be obtained in this way? Hiss. After listening to Qing Yu's statement, a brand new worldview seemed to have suddenly opened. In Nagato's dry heart, there was a glimmer of hope again. That's right. If the whole world of ninja, because of a crisis, all unite together, then use a force that transcends this alliance to maintain this unity. So, then there will be a solid peace. People in the ninja world will not resist the commanding organization for no reason, because they know that in the outside world, there is another powerful opposition organization that is deterring everything. Once they lose the leader, they will face the danger of doomsday. And within the ninja world, it is basically impossible to have a big internal war, because the Square organization, as the highest rate of communication, can perfectly maintain everything. It's almost the safest way. Nagato's eyes suddenly looked at Qing Yu, his eyes burning, and there was a hint of expectation. Qing Yu sang, your method is indeed feasible. However, I don't know what role Shao plays in your plan. Nagato asked solemnly. He knew without a doubt that now he had reached the fork in the road for Akatsuki. One step wrong will cause every step to go wrong. So, he needs Qing Yu to give directions, and at this moment, after hearing Nagato's words, Qing Yu's eyes moved slightly, but he raised his eyebrows lightly, and said with a faint smile. This question shouldn't be asked to me, you should ask yourself. Nagato, in this game of positive and negative, which one do you want to be? Should you become the leader of the ninja world, or the opposing deterrent who bears evil? Qing Yu squinted his eyes slightly and stared at Nagato with a smile. And after hearing this, not only Nagato, but also Konan on the side were also taken aback for a while. Did you give Nagato the right to choose? Konan's look is a bit complicated. In fact, although Nagato hasn't answered yet, she already knows the answer. This guy has always cherished the ultimate dream of peace. In order to achieve that goal, he had sacrificed everything he had long ago. If he is really allowed to choose, I am afraid, he will choose to be the one who bears the darkness. But in this way, he will not be able to witness the peaceful world with his own eyes. Just as Konan lowered his eyes and felt complicated. Now, Nagato's eyes gradually lifted, and the hesitation and complexity in his eyes disappeared. What turned out to be revealed was a wave of firm determination. He stared at Qing Yu and said seriously and lowly. If the sins and hatreds of this world need to be borne by one person, then leave it to me. As soon as Nagato's voice fell, Konan's eyes jumped and froze. Then, a helpless smile appeared in his heart. Sure enough, Nagato would choose to do this at this time. Hearing this answer, Qing Yu couldn't help but his expression moved slightly. To be honest, before thinking of this deterrence check and balance plan, in Qing Yu's mind, a complete plan has already been in place. The so-called pros and cons, Qing Yu has already decided on the role. Even, he has already thought about how to lead the world to that situation. And this time I asked Nagato, I just wanted to see how he would choose. But, Qing Yu never expected, this guy chose to become the villain without hesitation. Spray, advertisement, isn't this deliberately stealing the limelight from my protagonist? Qing Yu smiled helplessly in her heart and shook her head. Zero. Really, even if the ninja world is darker, there are always people shining with the brilliance of humanity. After a moment of silence, Qing Yu raised his eyes slightly, looked at Nagato, and chuckled. Can you tell me your reason? Reason? Hearing this, Nagato repeated it softly. Subsequently, he lowered his eyes again, was silent for a moment, and then slowly said in an emotional tone. You probably have already noticed, Qing Yu sang. Today, my life is actually like a candle in the wind. Due to the trap of Hanzo of the salamander, my legs have been completely mutilated. Now I can only rely on these chakra-sensing instruments to control Pen's 6 paths to fight. Due to Rinnegan's tremendous consumption, my energy is also declining. That is to say, I'm afraid I won't last long, and I will die. Rather than letting myself die unclearly, I hope I can change this ninja world before I die. With that, Nagato raised his head, looked at Qing Yu, and said solemnly. Your peace plan has high feasibility, so I am willing to entrust my life to you. Starting from today, according to your plan, lead the world to the ultimate peace. Even if you become a hateful criminal, it doesn't matter. Nagato said without hesitation. There was an awe-inspiring sense of, life has never died since ancient times. Don't talk about Konan on the side, even Qing Yu couldn't help being a little moved when he heard it. Really, this guy is born to be the protagonist. Thinking of this, Qing Yu shook his head involuntarily and chuckled lightly. Seeing this picture, Nagato and Konan were naturally stunned. Why did he laugh suddenly? Could it be that what I just said is wrong? However, just when the two were surprised, Qing Yu suddenly smiled and raised his hand. Then, on his palm, a small green transparent cube prop suddenly appeared. Next moment, Qing Yu directly threw the props in his hand to Nagato. Nagato was taken aback for a moment, but he quickly raised his hand to catch it. Snapped. The moment the green props started, Nagato immediately felt a slight cooling sensation as if it had entered his body. At this time, Qing Yu looked at Nagato, grinned slightly, and smiled. 4.6. Since you want to join my plan, then, let's live longer. The voice fell. Base. Qing Yu's figure turned into an afterimage directly, swept the night sky and disappeared. Inside the room, in an instant, only Nagato and Konan were left. Seeing this weird scene, Nagato and Konan glanced at each other, naturally very bewildered. However, just when they were puzzled, suddenly, the mutation happened. I saw that the green cube props in Nagato's hands suddenly burst out with countless bright green lights directly enveloping Nagato's entire body. In the next moment, all the rays of light condensed into a solid form, turned into green beams of light, and directly rushed into Nagato's body. And the next moment, I saw that on Nagato's legs, the skin and muscles that had already shrunk and dried up, unexpectedly started to glow with new vitality. His legs are actually starting to be reborn. Seeing this picture, in an instant, Nagato and Konan opened their eyes wide at the same time and froze. Chapter 227. The Power to Resurrect from the Dead, an Insurmountable Gap. Seeking subscription. Advertisement. There's dead silence in the room. The green light emitting from the props still shines. And above Nagato's body, the bones, muscles, blood and even nerves injected by the green beam of light are all recovering at a speedy inch by inch. There is no pain, no discomfort, everything is like a matter of course. Just a moment later, all of Nagato's whole body, all the dry skin and Ginger's contracted muscles, were restored to an intact state. Even his legs, which have been crippled for more than 10 years, are restored to their original form. The green light quickly dissipated, and the green cube props in Nagato's hand immediately floated, and then burst into countless streamers and disappeared into the air. Nagato's pupils tightened, lowered his head in disbelief, and looked at his legs. And Konan looked at Nagato with the same horrified gaze. The two of them are almost blank, and they are all forced. This moment, the shock in their hearts is even greater than the joy. What's the situation? What kind of prop is this? Why does it have the effect of almost resurrecting the dead? You know, Nagato's legs, after being bombed by Hanzo, although not completely necrotic, they are basically the same. And his body, because of the long-term consumption of Rinnegan and Geto statue, it has become very dry and withered, but now they are like being reinfused with life force. It's a completely new creation. Nagato tried to lift his leg in disbelief, and it was done easily. And when he clenched his fist, an unprecedented sense of power instantly filled his body. This, O2 Nagato's heart suddenly froze, completely froze. A long-lost feeling came to my heart. This is the feeling of life. This moment, he finally realized what did Qing Yu's words just before leaving. Since you want to join my plan, then, let's live longer. Nagato lowered his eyes slowly, and he finally understood. Qing Yu specially gave him this thing purely to revive his lost vitality and give him a new life. Aware of this, for the first time on his thin face, there was a reluctant smile. Then, as if talking to himself, he murmured to Konan. Sure enough, as you said, Konan, Qing Yu, it's really different from the others. Not only the super strength, even the noble character makes people unable to catch up. The picture turns. Come to the other side. Under the misty light rain shinobi village, Qing Yu's residence. As soon as he arrived here, he immediately saw a person standing at the door with an umbrella. After seeing Qing Yu coming, this person grinned suddenly, revealing a hearty smile, and then said loudly. Wow, senior, you are in good spirits. How did you talk to the leader and them? Have you discussed the way to deal with one-tailed Jinchuriki? Huh? This speaker is naturally Deidara. And hearing this, Qing Yu just smiled and shook his head and said casually. No, I talked about something else. On Gaara's side, let him trap him with the sealed talisman first, and then deal with it later. With that, Qing Yu raised his hand and waved casually. I saw 3 black spells flew out of his hands instantly and landed on Deidara's hands. Seeing this weird spell, Deidara did not have any accidents, just nodded and said. Clear. Afterwards, a flashed and left quickly. For Qing Yu's words, it can be said that he is obedient now, naturally without any hesitation. As for the role of this seal, even if Qing Yu didn't say anything, he probably knew that it was probably some kind of technique that could seal the tail beast. At this time, just after Deidara left, Qing Yu opened the door of the residence, walked inward, and said casually without looking back. Advertisement, come out, Orochimaru, no one around. While talking, Qing Yu walked inwardly like a stroll in a leisurely courtyard. There is no mood swing at all, however, when his voice fell. Orochimaru, who was hiding in the dark, was taken aback for a moment, then smiled helplessly, and replied. As expected, it is you. The concealment technique I recently developed is still vulnerable to your golden pupil. The voice fell, Orochimaru walked out from the side, closed the door, and followed. In fact, he got here before Deidara. Since the end of the battle between Suya Palace and Akatsuki, he has been here to wait. But unexpectedly, Qing Yu did not return directly, but went to see Pain. Then, in order not to be found by Deidara who came here, Orochimaru deliberately hid. But did not expect, Qing Yu only found out the moment he arrived. After coming to the room, Qing Yu looked at Orochimaru and said casually. Something to ask me? Orochimaru lowered his head, smiled and grinned, and said. Yes, it's been a while since I left the base. As for the Uchiha Sass, who is being watched, I may have to go and see. So, I want to ask your permission to leave Rain Shinobi Village. Huh? Sass? Qing Yu was taken aback first subconsciously, and then reacted instantly. Ah yes, Sasuke is indeed still with Orochimaru from now on. It's almost time for 2 people to take home from each other? Qing Yu looked at Orochimaru in front of him, and suddenly showed a smile that was not a smile, and said. You taught him these years, should you also find that his strength is progressing rapidly, right? Qing Yu said this. Naturally it was to remind Orochimaru. Although winning the house is good, it also depends on the opponent's strength. Such as Uchiha Sasuke, if a few years ago, he was only a weak chicken, his strength would be only Chunin, at most Jonin's level, he would have won it, and he would not be able to make any waves. Orochimaru was listed as Sannin anyway, and it was easy to suppress him. But now it's different. Under Orochimaru's training, the already incomparable genius Sasir, with his own efforts and pedigree, advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the elite Jonin level, and even reaching the cage level. In the original, under this kind of strength, he directly killed Orochimaru and occupied the main body. Cause Orochimaru to burp on the spot later, it was hooked out by Uchiha Itachi, the king of water release, and was directly worn to death. The ending can be described as tragic, as the most diligent worker in Suya Palace. With emotion and reason, Qing Yu certainly didn't want him to be so gone. Then, I thought of reminding me, however, he didn't expect it. After asking this, Orochimaru chuckled instead. After that, he nodded, put out his tongue again, licked the corner of his mouth, and smiled. Yes. His strength has indeed grown a lot. The fruit is ripe and already, it's time to pick it. When it comes to picking up the word, Orochimaru's eyes revealed a look of excitement. Obviously, not only did he not hear Qing Yu's implication, on the contrary, he was still greedy for the body given by Sass. Qing Yu suddenly turned Byakugan, then waved his hand, saying. Never mind. You pay attention to safety. I'll tell Pain and the others, you can go straight away. Advertisement talking, Qing Yu turned around and stopped talking to Orochimaru. Look at him like this, Qing Yu knew that this product was not scary at all. Even if I told him to be careful about Sasuke, he would probably still gamble on the winning percentage. It's better not to waste your tongue, and at the moment. When Orochimaru here heard Qing Yu's words, he was taken aback. Be careful. What's the meaning? Am I just going back to see my apprentice? It shouldn't be too dangerous, right? Orochimaru was naturally confused. After all, he has been working for Qing Yu for so many years, and it is the first time he heard the words, "Pay attention to safety," from his mouth. After a moment of silence, of course Orochimaru still couldn't figure out why. But he has no way to understand an existence beyond himself in so many dimensions. Then I will retire first. Goodbye, Qing Yu-sama. The voice fell, Orochimaru's figure instantly turned into a ghostly shadow, left the room, and disappeared. And Qing Yu also abided by the agreement and sent a message to Nagato and the others, indicating that Orochimaru had left under his instruction. After hearing Qing Yu's guarantee, Nagato and Konan would naturally have no objection. Perhaps, they also didn't find out. Before they knew it, in fact, they seemed to have treated Qing Yu as Xiao's pillar. After a while, Qing Yu was about to take a break, but suddenly, a strange feeling came in his heart. At the next moment, an illusory picture appeared in front of Qing Yu 060 instantly. And the people in the picture, it was the Yakushi Kabuto. And the background behind him is an endless expanse of desert, which looks like the boundary of the Kingdom of Wind. Seeing this picture, Qing Yu was slightly startled at first, and then suddenly reacted. At the beginning, when Qing Yu and Deidara went to San Shinobi to capture one-tailed Jinchuriki Gaara, they happened to meet Yakushi Kabuto. As a result, I learned from Kabuto that the false Night Palace was faked. Then, in order for Kabuto to investigate, Qing Yu gave him a piccolo prop, which can be injected into chakra to record the pictures and sounds around him. But then, Qing Yu couldn't restrain his curiosity, so he took the initiative. But did not expect, now, this Yakushi Kabuto actually sent the picture. When Qing Yu was thinking about it, Yakushi Kabuto on the opposite side shook his expression. Then, his expression was very serious and he said quickly. Qing Yu-sama, sorry to disturb you. I have been searching in the desert of the Kingdom of Wind for 2 days, and finally found the address of the suspected fake Night Palace. There are a lot of white building debris here, which seems to have collapsed not long ago. And also, there is a huge bottomless pit that is very exaggerated, as if it was bombarded by some terrifying force. I infer that there may be a very powerful existence in that fake Void Night Palace. So I'm here to remind you to pay attention. Yakushi Kabuto stared at Qing Yu and spoke very seriously and methodically. For the big bombing hole behind him, he seemed to perceive that the situation was very serious. However, after listening to this, Qing Yu was taken aback for a moment. Then, he couldn't laugh or cry for a while. He looked at Yakushi Kabuto, covering his face and said. Ah, that hole, actually, I blasted it out Yakushi Kabuto was stupid on the spot. P.S. Big guys, the update that was missing yesterday has been made up today. Chapter 228 Madara, the Sealed Foul Man, the recapture battle begins, seeking subscription. Advertisement. This bottomless hole, yes, you blasted it out? Yakushi Kabuto's eyes widened, he stared at this side like a ghost, and said in disbelief. At the same time, a drop of cold sweat gradually emerged on his forehead. Qing Yu nodded with a chuckle and said casually. I got there before you, so, let's deal with that shoddy Night Palace by the way. Unexpectedly, the movement is still a little bit bigger. As soon as this word came out, Yakushi Kabuto was stunned. This is so-called by the way, a horrible and invincible deep pit with a diameter of hundreds of meters. It turned out to be just a little louder? Kabuto's brain was almost blank, and all his hairs were upside down. To know, when he just came here, when I saw the ruins and the invincible pits everywhere, I still felt like I was facing an enemy. After all, few people can use ninjutsu to cause such destruction. Not to mention, this is still a desert. If you want to hit an invisible deep pit, it is originally a fantasy-like existence. But now, it is now in front of you. Because of this shock in his heart, Kabuto decided to use the piccolo that Qing Yu gave him. Although this may disturb him, if there is such a terrifying enemy, it is of course necessary to notify him. However, Kabuto never thought of in this shocking scene in front of us, the culprit was Qing Yu himself? This TM Kabuto couldn't tell the whole thing directly. He stared blankly at the piccolo in his hand, his expression froze on his face and his mouth couldn't close. At this moment, Qing Yu raised his eyebrows slightly and said. Anything else? It's gone. Kabuto, who reacted, shook his head quickly like a rattle. He was here to report this matter specially, and of course there is not much to say now. Since Qing Yu has arrived here, he naturally doesn't need to continue worrying about the so-called fake Night Palace. However, at this time, Qing Yu seems to have thought of something. His eyes flashed suddenly. Instead, he looked at Yakushi Kabuto in the picture again, and ordered. You wait over there. I have a task for you, yes. Kabuto naturally didn't dare to neglect at all, and quickly lowered his head to answer. Of course he knows that Qing Yu Master has powerful space-time ninjutsu. Even if he is far away in the country of rain, he can quickly go to the country of wind. Piccolo's picture ends. Qing Yu raised the corners of her mouth slightly, revealing a relaxed smile. Uchiha Obito's fake operation of the Night Palace reminded him. In fact, he didn't need to spread the scrolls of white hits in secret at all. As long as he used the name of the Void Palace, there would naturally be a large number of people vying to snatch it. After all, for the group of bounty ninjas, the secret technique of the Suya Palace has always been a treasure that they have been searching for. In this way, the points of the mall can be accumulated faster. The progress of acquiring Hogyoku can also be greatly improved. While thinking, Qing Yu raised his hand and skillfully opened the black cavity. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Step into it. Now, it's also time. It's time for the reputation of Suya Palace to start in the ninja world again. Walking through the black cavity, since Ryotsu is not stronger than before, his traveling speed is naturally much faster than before. Walking forward, Qing Yu opened the task panel of the system. However, on the panel, a long-distance taskbar that seemed to be sealed in dust appeared. Hidden the main line, building the Suya Palace, Yi. Mission description. Host needs to create an organization called the Night Palace, in this world as the King of the Night, and expand its influence to the world. Advertisement, current level of influence, LV.5, famous ninja world. Task rewards. The higher the influence level of the Void Palace, the more various rewards the host can obtain. This hidden task was triggered suddenly after Qing Yu and Orochimaru spoke. In the past few years, because of Qing Yu's activities as a fox ghost, the popularity of the Shuyi Palace also went from LV.0 without influence, to LV.1 with a slight influence, to LV.2's huge influence, and now to LV.5's famous ninja world. It can be said that it has been improved step by step. Basically, as long as you are a ninja from the 5 major countries, you have heard of this name. Of course, Qing Yu also spent a lot of effort secretly. And now, if nothing else, as long as the popularity continues to increase, the next level will reach LV. Max, the legendary, well-known. Do not know either, what rewards will be given at that time. While thinking, Qing Yu suddenly noticed a special side mission hidden below. The bounty branch of the Fox Ghost. The amount of reward has exceeded 300 million taels, 0/1. It has not been completed yet, and an S-level gift package will be awarded. Seeing this task, Qing Yu was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly smiled helplessly. Speaking of, this task was also one of the goals of Qing Yu's efforts. After all, the S-level gift package sounds very attractive, and Qing Yu naturally wants to get it. However, he did not expect, just after the Battle of Jinyu Castle was over. Qing Yu's bounty has indeed soared once, but it seems that because the picture of him defeating 4th Raikage is a bit too shocking, many people think that his strength is a little outrageous and give up the reward for him. So later, Qing Yu's reward amount has been stuck at about 270 million, and no one raises the price anymore. The people who most wanted to defeat the Fox Ghosts became the heads and high levels of the 5 major countries. However, they are naturally not for bounty, but for the Sharingan of the Master in the hands of the Fox Ghost, and the so-called secret art of the Void Night Palace. Sharingan will not mention it for the time being. The secret technique of the Suya Palace, this time, it can be released openly. Qing Yu thought while walking forward in the black tone. After a while, he perceives the unique soul breath from Yakushi Kabuto. After stopping, Qing Yu thought, raised his hand and tapped lightly. Puffy. The black space seemed to be torn apart, and the light instantly penetrated in. Qing Yu stepped out and landed on the surface of the sand. And ahead, Yakushi Kabuto is waiting quietly. When seeing Qing Yu appear out of thin air, Kabuto was shocked for a while, but immediately reacted, bowed his head slightly, and quickly said, "We have been waiting for a long time, Qing Yu-sama." Qing Yu nodded and smiled while walking forward. "I'm looking for you this time, mainly to arrange you to perform a task." "Huh? Excuse me?" Kabuto raised his eyes in surprise and looked at Qing Yu with a look of doubt. Of course he was very curious. After all, in the past, when Qing Yu released missions, it was often through direct sound transmission or through special props. Like this time, it is naturally different to come here directly across thousands of miles. Therefore, Kabuto couldn't help being serious in his heart. At this time, however, Qing Yu raised his hand and waved it gently. Base. A blue light flashed by, and the next moment, I saw a pile of white scrolls suddenly appeared on the sand surface. There are various spells and symbols engraved on the scroll, but without exception, a powerful breath is revealed. The moment he saw these scrolls, Kabuto was naturally stunned. What is this? Why is there such a scroll that has already demonstrated a powerful force before it is opened? Simply unheard of, broken. Kabuto involuntarily took a breath. He suddenly remembered that when he had just joined the Shuyi Palace, he had obtained a special pure white scroll that could summon the members of the Shuyi Palace. However, compared to the scrolls in front of them, that scroll is a bit more elegant and subtle. At least the breath will not be revealed at this time. Advertisement. I heard Qing Yu in front speak in a very casual tone. These scrolls, it is recorded in my Suya Palace, the most basic level of mystery can be learned without any threshold. You are responsible for keeping it first. As soon as this voice came out, Kabuto's heart suddenly shook, and he was bewildered on the spot. What? So many scrolls of the secret art of the Void Night Palace for me to keep? Or is it a secret technique that can be learned without any threshold? Is this implying something? After high-speed thinking, Kabuto's heart suddenly burst into joy, and blood was surging up uncontrollably. However, before he had time to be excited, I heard Qing Yu speak in the same leisurely tone again. Well, although most of the mysteries in it are about physique and swordsmanship, you can learn it yourself if you want to. However, you have an additional task, please speak. Kabuto grinned and answered with a smile. At the same time, he pushed his glasses. Even so, the joy on his face is very obvious. Of course he was happy. After all, although he has joined Suya Palace for so many years, However, he has never touched any secret technique of the Void Knight Palace at all. But now, suddenly there are so many, you can still let him learn at will. Such a good thing, no matter how you think it's all blood earning. Next, no matter what task Qing Yu-sama gives, I will complete it perfectly. Kabuto's heart is full of confidence. However, when Qing Yu's next voice fell, Kabuto was completely stunned. I saw Qing Yu's hand, and a white evil ghost mask suddenly appeared. After that, he stretched out his hand and handed the mask to Kabuto casually, raising the corners of his mouth and smiling. Your task is, I pretend to be the Shuyi Palace, spread these secret techniques of the Shuyi Palace to the entire ninja realm. What's this? Kabuto's eyes widened suddenly, staring at Qing Yu like a ghost. Stupid on the spot. Let me pretend to be Shuyi to spread the secret technique of Shuyi Palace? What kind of operation is this NM? The desert was silent. The king's Kabuto's thoughts were completely messed up. At the same time, on the other side. Just when Qing Yu didn't know, Rain Shinobi Village. Beyond the lake. In the middle of a mountain run, a half-black and half-white figure was leaning out of the upper body from the branches. And not far away, in the valley in the darkness, there's a thin ghost figure, rushing towards the distance without stopping. And it is Orochimaru who left Rain Shinobi Village. After seeing this picture clearly, the body protruding from the tree suddenly moved, and White Zetsu on the right half spoke, letting out a weird low laugh. Ah, this is really a coincidence. Unexpectedly, we just returned to Rain Shinobi Village, and we happen to be able to see the picture of Orochimaru leaving. It seems that it's time to close the net with Obito. White Zetsu grinned nervously, and Black Zetsu on the side naturally reacted, and he said in a low, hoarse voice. I'll be responsible for following him. Go, and pass this information to Uchiha Obito immediately and let him come over. We want to do our best, in the shortest time possible. Recapture the seal of Madara's scroll bow. Chapter 229 Rebirth, Madara reappears, subscription. Advertisement Black Zetsu said in a low, hoarse voice. The voice fell, White Zetsu suddenly grinned deeper and let out a weird laugh, saying. Hey, get it? After speaking, with a chuckle, I saw the fit body of White Zetsu and Black Zetsu split into two halves instantly. Afterwards, White Zetsu's body completely separated from Black Zetsu and began to reveal the whole picture. The Nepenthes that was originally one was extinct, but at this moment it suddenly became two completely different individuals, one black and one white. At this time, White Zetsu did not hesitate at all, and immediately used Mayfly technique, sank into the tree trunk and disappeared. No doubt, he naturally followed Black Zetsu's orders and went to Uchiha Obito. And this side, above the trunk, only Black Zetsu was left standing on it. After thinking for a moment, he immediately followed in the direction Orochimaru had left. To be honest, he did not expect, at such a coincidence, I suddenly saw Orochimaru leave Rain Shinobi. Originally, he came back to report to Pain about Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisami's tail beast capture record. But now, it is clear that Orochimaru is of course more important. In his hand, the master holds the special scroll that seals Uchiha Madara. Resurrect him, it is one of the key steps of the mother-saving plan. In this world without Senju Hashirama, Black Zetsu has reason to believe that Uchiha Madara is absolutely invincible. Therefore, it is naturally impossible for him to have the slightest ambiguity. At the same time, the other side, outside Rain Shinobi Village on a certain mountain in the country of fire. Following the familiar breath, White Zetsu quickly found the Uchiha leader who was here alone. While poking his body out of the ground, White Zetsu chuckled and said, Yo, Obito, there is a message. However, his words were only general, and he was shocked and stopped. What happened? Why is this guy dying? It looks almost bruised all over. White Zetsu was stunned. Since he met Uchiha Obito until now, with this guy's powerful life-giving ability, he has never suffered such a serious injury. Even in the 0609 Tales Chaos of the Year, Obito was hit by Namikaze Minato's Rasengan and never hurt to this point. Just as White Zetsu was slightly startled and dazed. At this time, Obito, leaning on the rock, naturally discovered the existence of White Zetsu. He looked at White Zetsu feebly, raised his eyes, and said in a low tone that was always the same. What news? After the voice spoke, it was obvious that it was much more vacant than before. White Zetsu has a weird face, but still suppressed the overwhelming curiosity, grinned and said. Good news, when I just returned to Rain Shinobi Village. I saw that guy named Orochimaru and left Rain Shinobi. The voice fell off. Obito, who was dying, suddenly shrank his pupils, as if returning to light, quickly said. What? Did you leave alone? Just now? Yes. White Zetsu walked over and grinned. We have already investigated, and he is indeed the only one. Also, looking at his swift action, it's like escaping. Hearing this, Obito's eyes condensed suddenly, and then he started thinking. After a while, he put the mask beside him on his face again, and then said in a deep voice. Let's go, take me over. Opportunity is rare, we must take the time to take back the scroll immediately. However, I will take the action when the time comes, and you should not come forward to avoid accidental identification. Obito said in a deep voice. The you in his mouth naturally refers to White Zetsu and Black Zetsu. After all now, his Obito had already been kicked out of Akatsuki. However, it is not a good thing to appear with Obito as a member of Akatsuki. However, as soon as Obito's voice fell, White Zetsu on the side suddenly showed a strange expression of nonsensicalness, pushed away his hand, and said helplessly. Now, I said Obito, how do you act like this now? Let me help you over. In that case, I can't guarantee that I can beat that snake man. As soon as White Zetsu's voice fell, Obito's face went dark. Subsequently, lifting his eyes slightly, he said coldly. Do not worry, of course I have a way. While talking, he took out a green cube prop from behind him. Advertisement. The moment White Zetsu saw this prop, he was taken aback. What's the situation? Is this something you haven't seen before? However, not waiting for him to think carefully. Seeing Obito's hand slightly hardened, I saw the green cube props in Obito's hands suddenly burst out with countless bright green rays, directly enveloping his entire body. At the next moment, all the rays of light condensed into a solid form, turned into green beams, and re-entered Obito's body. And the next moment, I saw him all over his body, and all his injuries were recovering at an almost ridiculous speed. The blood disappeared, the wound closed, the bones recovered. All the shocking wounds, in just a few seconds, all recovered to the point of intact. Seeing this picture, even White Zetsu, who has always been offline, was stunned for a while. What is this special? Why is there such a bug in Obito's hands? However, what he didn't know was, when Obito felt the changes in his body, even he himself was completely regretful. This NM is so scary. Painting. Obito involuntarily took a breath and froze on the spot. Thoughts are interrupted, and the brain is almost blank. This prop, of course it's not his thing. It was given to him when the Fox Ghost left not long ago. Then, after the two talked about the future plan. The Fox Ghost told him, this is one of the secret treasures from the Suya Palace. However, I heard this at the time. Obito didn't care much. After all, his injuries were so severe that it would take a while for even a top medical ninja to treat him. Of course, he didn't think how good the effect of this prop was. But when I heard White Zetsu talk about Orochimaru, Obito knows, I can't be at ease anymore, must act quickly to retake the scroll. So he decided to use the prop given by the Fox Ghost with the form of giving it a try. However, now after using it up, he is completely stupid. This NM is called cure. This is already high-speed regeneration, right? And, the speed of this healing is completely unheard of. Not only has the body recovered, but even the consumed physical strength and chakra have all recovered as before. Obito raised his hand and tried to shake it, this feeling. It's like regaining a sense of strength. Obito's eyes lit up and the corners of his mouth opened involuntarily, so that the scroll would be stable. As he stood up, Obito put his hand on his right eye and smiled lowly. Let's go one, goal, Orochimaru, ACEG. The picture turns, came to the early morning of the second day. Now, the mountain range where the country of grass and the country of rain meet. The wind is sunny, cloudless. On the way Orochimaru. Suddenly, I noticed that something was wrong around me. Out of the intuition of a ninja, Orochimaru quickly condensed his mind, stopped immediately, and looked around. However, let your eyes look around, but I can't see the existence of anyone else. Orochimaru did not relax his vigilance, but still had a dignified look and deliberately spoke. Squirt, since I have been with me for so long all the way. It's time to show up too? Orochimaru grinned reluctantly and showed a deliberate smile. However, after the voice fell, a low voice suddenly came from behind him. Good judgment, Orochimaru. Hearing this low voice, Orochimaru's heart was suddenly shocked, and his face changed suddenly. Advertisement. Next moment, he instantly turned his head and looked at the source of the sound. And at the moment, but I saw on the rock ahead, a figure in a black robe is sitting, with an orange Uzumaki mask on his face, and his posture looks very leisurely and undisciplined. The moment I saw this figure, of course Orochimaru's face was taken aback. What's the matter with this outfit? Why is it a bit familiar? Hey, wait, isn't this Afei, the intern in Akatsuki's organization? No, not right. The rumors have been refuted. He should be Uchiha Obito. After a moment of high-speed thinking, Orochimaru grinned and chuckled. Yo, who do I think it is? So it was Konoha's war hero, Uchiha Obito? As soon as Orochimaru's voice fell, Obito was startled first, then suddenly the corners of his mouth twitched and his face turned black. No surprise, as Tongju said, it was this guy who exposed his identity together with Qing Yu. Otherwise, Uchiha leader, the long-lost name, can't be said from his mouth so easily. Thought of here, Obito suddenly sank his face equals eyes and said indifferently. Stop talking nonsense, Orochimaru. Give me the scroll in your hand. Obito said straight to the door, however, after the voice fell. The smile on Orochimaru's face deepened, he held his chest with his hands, raised his chin slightly, looked at Obito, and chuckled lightly. How do you say I am also your senior in Konoha? It's not okay to speak so rudely, Obito-san, Orochimaru said with a leisurely smile. However, his eyes never met Uchiha Obito, who was opposite. The reason for this, of course, it was to prevent Sharingan's illusion. After all, when he was versus Uchiha Itachi, just because he looked at each other, he was hit by the opponent's illusion, and he was defeated. He who learned his lesson, no matter how the waves are, I will never choose to look at Sharingan. This Uchiha Obito is a member of the Uchiha clan, and he has the ability to pretend to be Uchiha Madara. Naturally, it is not too simple. Therefore, even though Orochimaru is very yin and yang, there is no slightest underestimation or conceit in his heart. And, anyway, I don't understand what you mean by scroll. After all, I have more than 1 or 2 scrolls here. Orochimaru said with a chuckle. Of course he was testing Obito's tone. However, after hearing this, Obito doesn't plan to continue talking nonsense at all. He just raised one hand, and a handful of kunai appeared in his palm. Then, he stared at Orochimaru ahead, Sharingan flickered slightly and said indifferently. Don't play dumb, Orochimaru. The Qing Yu of the Golden Pupil sealed Impure World Reincarnation's Uchiha Madara in a scroll, right? And that scroll should still be in your hands now. Give it to me, you can still save yourself from death. While talking, Obito stepped directly, holding kunai in his hand, and walked towards Orochimaru here. Aggressive. And seeing this picture, Orochimaru was stunned at first, and then suddenly lowered his eyes, grinned reluctantly, and said with a smile. It looks like, you seem to be familiar with the situation that day. So, if you want a scroll, you might as well try to defeat him first. While talking, Orochimaru suddenly smiled and raised his hand. The scroll opened directly and quickly spread on the ground. And the next moment, Orochimaru's expression became excited, he raised his hands, grinned, and said loudly. Summoning technique Impure World Reincarnation. Bang. The smoke exploded. A figure of incomparable haki emerged from the scroll, gradually condensing into a solid form. Uchiha Madara of Impure World Reincarnation once again appeared in front of you. Uchiha Obito. Chapter 230 True Eyes of the Evil King. Fancy waste products, seeking subscription. Advertisement with the white light shining, Uchiha Madara of Impure World Reincarnation suddenly appeared on the scroll, standing still. Orochimaru suddenly raised the corners of his mouth, showing a weird smile. However, when I saw Haki's figure in front of me, Uchiha Obito was taken aback for an instant. This. Uchiha Madara? Orochimaru took the initiative to summon him? Obito's pupils shrank slightly, suddenly stunned. He didn't expect the opponent to have this hand at all. According to common sense, since Orochimaru knew he was going to snatch the scroll, he should try to hide it. As a result now, not only did this be not hide, but also directly summoned the sealed Uchiha Madara? Could it be that? He wants to control this Uchiha Madara. Come to fight me. Obito's face sank slightly, revealing a particularly solemn expression. This dignity, it's comparable to when I first met a fox ghost. Despite the existence of Impure World Reincarnation, its strength is slightly worse than before. But, Obito didn't dare to be careless. This is Uchiha Madara. The only legendary ninja in history that can be tied with first Hokage Senju Hashirama. The famous ninja Shira, at the same time, can also be regarded as his life mentor. After all, at first, it was the elderly Uchiha Madara who rescued him and trained him to recover. Also, it was him who told Obito about the Infinite Tsukuyomi plan. So strictly speaking, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is Uchiha Obito's teacher. Back then, Obito was planted in the hands of his first teacher Namikaze Minato. This time, of course he didn't want to continue to fall into the hands of the second teacher. At this time, I saw Orochimaru on the opposite side grinning and showing a weird smile. He looked at Uchiha Obito here and chuckled lightly. Ha ha, although I want to see for myself the strength of your junior. However, someone once told me that my relationship with Sharingan is not too good, not too reckless. So, the task of defeating you, leave it to the legend of the ninja world. Sharingan's Sharingan, just thinking about it makes me feel very exciting. Orochimaru smiled and walked towards Uchiha Madara before the scroll. Subsequently, quickly stretched out his hand, a little purple snake appeared from the cuff, rushed to the scroll, and quickly put it away. However, at this moment, the mutation happened suddenly. Boom! I saw Uchiha Madara's whole body, and an extremely terrifying power broke out in an instant, formed a shock wave like a storm, and expanded quickly. Bang! Due to being too close, Orochimaru didn't have time to react at all, so he was hit by the hurricane and flew out. Puff! Orochimaru's body was as if it had been shot out, hitting a huge boulder in the distance, and suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, his face suddenly changed, and his eyes were extremely horrified. What's going on? How is this possible? The Impure World Reincarnation actually attacked me as the caster. Orochimaru's thoughts were instantly interrupted, and his head was almost blank. The hairs are standing upright, shuddering, at this time. On the opposite side, Uchiha Obito was also pushed back a few steps by the hurricane that was set off by this mighty hurricane, and his face changed slightly. He suddenly lowered his eyes and looked forward, his eyes full of confusion. And many more. What happened? Advertisement Orochimaru was actually knocked into the air. Can't the caster control the Impure World Reincarnation's attack intention? What happened? The field was suddenly embarrassed and no one spoke. And Orochimaru's hand quietly revealed a special kuna entangled with a black spell. This kind of suffering has the ability to erase the personality and consciousness of the Impure World Reincarnation, and can make the Impure World Reincarnation incarnate as a simple fighter, obeying the arrangement of the operator. At the beginning, when I first encountered Qing Yu who was pursuing, Orochimaru used this trick to directly obliterate Third Kazegage's consciousness, thus controlling him to fight Qing Yu. However, this method has a disadvantage that would greatly reduce the combat effectiveness of the Impure World Reincarnation, far less powerful than before. For this reason, Orochimaru just didn't choose to bury it in kunai, but directly put away the seal scroll and awakened Uchiha Madara. But now, like Uchiha Madara, who is filthy, can take the initiative to fight, it seems quite risky. I must find a way to bury Kuwu in him. Orochimaru wiped the bloodline at the corner of his mouth, while hiding kunai behind him, revealing a cobra-like dark gaze. The body is like a tight bowstring, ready to go, but at this moment. Ahead, the powerful storm that continued to spread, finally dissipated. And the man standing in the center of the storm, Uchiha Madara, slowly raised his eyes, looked at the sky indifferently, and muttered. This feeling of waiting is really long, finally resurrected. He didn't seem to care about Orochimaru in the distance behind him, and said to himself. And after speaking, he turned his head slightly and turned his gaze to Uchiha, who was wearing a mask over there. I saw Obito over there, standing still waiting. In the current situation, he is still unable to accurately judge his enemies and friends, and of course he can't take it lightly. Uchiha Madara stared for a while, and then suddenly showed a clear look, lifted his chin slightly, and said proudly. Good job Obito, you seem to have accomplished the task I gave you brilliantly. In other words, Nagato has completed his sacrifice, using reincarnation, huh? However, only halfway through his words, he suddenly stopped. At the same time, there was also a strange sound of doubt in his mouth. Next moment, Madara raised her hands and stared at her. After seeing it clearly, his eyes instantly revealed an unexpected look, and he said to himself indifferently. What's the situation? Isn't it Nagato's reincarnation technique? It's Impure World reincarnation. As a man who has studied Impure World reincarnation technique, Uchiha Madara is very proficient and can see that his body is abnormal at a glance. This is not a brand new body resurrected by the reincarnation technique, but a filthy body. Aware of this, he raised his eyes and looked at Uchiha Obito over there, still speaking without hesitation. What's the matter, Obito? It looks like something went wrong with my resurrection plan. He said indifferently, expressionlessly, although the plan is wrong. But he is still as calm as water, without waves. And after hearing this, Obito's eyes moved slightly. After thinking for a moment, he spoke helplessly, and explained in a low voice. It's a long story. Shortly after you die, in Nagato's Shao organization, he joined a man with powerful strength named Qing Yu. He has the bloodline boundary called Evil King True Eye, which is a strange pupil technique with extremely complicated abilities. And not long ago, he joined Orochimaru together. After summoning you out in the way of Impure World reincarnation, it revealed my true identity and kicked me out of Akatsuki directly. Obito whispered. Although the last words are a bit embarrassing, they're facts. At this time, after hearing Obito's words, Uchiha Madara's expression began to change slightly. His eyes moved slightly, looking at Obito, and said indifferently. As the evil king really eyes. In my time, I have never heard of it. Even in the past history, there has not been such an unheard of blood succession boundary. Are you sure the information is correct? 0, for flowers. Uchiha Madara raised her eyes slightly and asked Obito again. Advertisement. And hearing this, Obito pondered for a while, then nodded, helplessly. The intelligence can't be wrong. His eyes are the recognized intelligence in Akatsuki's organization. And I have heard and felt the power of this pupil technique. The voice fell. Uchiha Madara thought for a moment, then raised her eyes, still indifferently. That's it. It's just a pair of eyes after all. No matter how powerful the bloodline limit is, if the master's ability is not enough, it will only be used as a fancy waste product. Madara said lightly, in the words, there is an extremely powerful self-confidence. After all, he is a typical powerful model, and the only person who can represent the word, powerful, better than him is the first Hokage of that year. Besides, in his opinion, it is basically a pleasure. Therefore, the so-called powerful Qing Yu in Obito's mouth is not very interested at all. The reason why he asked just now was just out of curiosity about the new pupil technique. But that's it, and at the moment, after hearing this, Obito's face went dark. To be honest, he wants to tell Uchiha Madara that Qing Yu is really too strong. 0. But now, obviously it is not the right time. And at this moment, suddenly, the mutation happened. I only see the distance. Orochimaru, who was lying on the boulder, suddenly jumped out. Kunai, holding a black spell in his hand, sneaked directly behind Uchiha Madara. This moment, he gritted his teeth. His aura was like drawing a salary from the bottom of a cauldron. Seeing this picture, naturally, Uchiha Obito shook suddenly. He didn't expect it at all. At this time, the injured Orochimaru actually tried to attack Madara, to erase his consciousness. However, say it's too late, then it's fast. Orochimaru had already rushed behind Uchiha Madara. The speed is so fast, Obito didn't even have time to speak. But, at this moment, a terrible thing happened. But seeing the front, Uchiha Madara didn't even look at it, and suddenly his body moved. Base. As chakra quickly gathered under his feet, his figure suddenly turned into an afterimage and disappeared directly in place. He, who was Impure World reincarnation, escaped the attack of Orochimaru, the caster. Orochimaru's face suddenly changed when he saw his own suffering without thorns. Although he had probably predicted that Uchiha Madara might not be controlled by Impure World reincarnation. However, he did not expect that he actually broke free from the shackles so quickly. However, at this moment, he couldn't help but think carefully. I saw Uchiha Madara, who was instantaneously, appeared directly beside Orochimaru and kicked it directly. The attack speed is so fast that it brings a strong wind. Pass. A kick hit Orochimaru's waist, and he blasted him out. Yes, except for Sharingan and ninjutsu, physical skills are also one of Uchiha Madara's best strengths during his lifetime. Now, with his high-speed movement and the purest physical attack, he easily forced Orochimaru to quit again. Puff! Orochimaru spouted blood again. His face was pale, like a kite with a broken line. He fell directly on the ground in the distance. At this time, Uchiha Madara faintly retracted her foot. Then, looking at Orochimaru ahead, his eyes were indifferent and he said with a deep voice. It looks like, you seem to want the toy in your hand to erase my consciousness. It's just an admirable arrogance. Chapter 231 A mere ant, I am not interested in trampling to death, seeking subscription. Advertisement. Uchiha Madara looked at Orochimaru indifferently and said blankly. Even if he was attacked by Orochimaru behind him, at this moment, his tone did not seem to be angry or angry at all. On the contrary, it is like watching a play, however. After he said these words, Orochimaru shook suddenly, feeling a looming strong sense of oppression. Aware of this, Orochimaru felt cold for a while and couldn't help gritting his teeth. The situation seemed worse than he thought. This Uchiha Madara. Not only did it completely break free from the shackles of Impure World reincarnation technique, it even showed an unprecedentedly powerful terrifying power. Nothing else, it's just the terrifying speed just now, and the powerful pressure now. It's far from being comparable to an ordinary ninja. In Orochimaru's memory, even, only Qing Yu or the Fox Ghost can have this powerful overwhelming power. Orochimaru raised his hand again, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, grinned reluctantly, revealed an ugly smile, and said. So this is the real strength of Ninja Shira Uchiha Madara? The voice fell. Uchiha Madara's face remained unchanged, but she slowly raised her eyes and said. True strength. Shout, stop laughing, Orochimaru. As the caster of Impure World reincarnation, you should know better than anyone. This sacrificial body with whole feet can't show the true strength of my Uchiha Madara at all. Uchiha Madara said faintly, 060, put your arms around your chest, and everything will be late. On the other hand, Orochimaru's eyes sank slightly, and he whispered helplessly. But, you still got rid of the shackles easily. While talking, he stood up again with difficulty from the ground. After that, he raised his hands and quickly assumed a Jeian posture, looking at Uchiha Madara in front. His face was extremely solemn. Although I am very interested in a great historical figure like you. But right now, it seems that you can no longer be allowed to act in this state. If you can't, you will kill me as the caster. So, speaking of this, Orochimaru suddenly paused, and then his eyes flashed, his hands quickly joined together to form a seal, and at the same time, he shouted in a deep voice. Impure World Reincarnation. Solution. Stare. The moment the voice fell, chakra surged over his hands instantly. Amidst the darkness, an invisible power emerged instantly and descended on the body of Uchiha Madara. And the next moment, I saw that his body, starting from the legs, slowly fell apart, turned into countless dirt, and began to dissipate. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Madara has not made any response. But Uchiha Obito behind him suddenly shrank his pupils and his face changed drastically. And many more. What happened? This guy Orochimaru took the initiative to release Impure World Reincarnation. Masaka, Uchiha Madara is going to disappear again. But damn it, in this way, everything planned before will be in vain soon? Obito gritted his teeth suddenly and stepped out. Trying to rush forward and directly attack Orochimaru to interrupt his operation. Of course he couldn't bear it at this moment, after all. The reason why he came here specifically is to snatch the scroll. That is, Uchiha Madara, the sealed dirt, but now. Don't talk about special scrolls, even the filthy state of Uchiha Madara cannot be maintained. Don't shoot again, there is no more chance. Obito's face was so gloomy, he leaned forward. And in fact, at this moment, the black-white Zetsu in the dark is also extremely anxious. They don't know what Impure World Reincarnation technique. If the current technique is cancelled, the plan to compete for Uchiha Madara will be completely ruined. Therefore, they also wanted to control Orochimaru's body for the first time. However, between the electric light and flint, the change happened suddenly. I saw the front. Uchiha Madara, the dirty soil that was falling apart, suddenly snorted and said indifferently. Huh, little bugs. Stare. As soon as the voice fell. Suddenly, all the dirt on his body that was about to collapse, returned to his body again, and reunited together. Advertisement seeing this weird picture. This moment, whether it was Orochimaru who performed the operation, or Obito and black-white Zetsu who were preparing to act, they all lived dead. FK? What is going on? The body that had collapsed is back together? Even the chakra that was about to dissipate just now is completely stabilized again? This NM is on, right? Orochimaru's hand kept moving. The expression on his face froze stiffly, his eyes widened, like a ghost. This sense of horror originating from the soul is almost and completely no less than when he saw the power of Qing Yu. The surrounding storm keeps going, however, all the people present were silent, and no one made a sound. After knowing a moment, Uchiha Madara spoke indifferently and broke the silence. His eyes are still indifferent, like a frozen lake, faintly said. Because I can't control me, I want to release my Impure World Reincarnation, right? Really a wise move. It is a pity, you seem to have overlooked a little. While talking, Uchiha Madara also suddenly raised his hands. If the reincarnated person knows the seal of Impure World Reincarnation, you can use the active treatment, come to dissolve the summoning contract of Impure World Reincarnation, and it will no longer be under the control of the caster. Just like this. Talking, Uchiha Madara suddenly raised his hands. With an extremely proficient posture, the complex knot seal was directly completed in an instant. The next moment, his hand slammed on the ground. Impure World Reincarnation, Solution. Boom. The moment the procedure was completed. In an instant, the dazzling white light suddenly burst out from above his body. At the same time, a powerful coercion spread, and instantly compressed the air to form a storm, rushing towards the surroundings. Boom. And the next moment, when the white light dissipated and the storm gradually stopped. Uchiha Madara still stands still on the spot, holding his arms around his chest. Haki is incomparable. Although it does not seem to have changed, it is still in the state of impure world reincarnation. But everyone present knows, condition, it's completely different. Today's Uchiha Madara has actively cancelled the summoning contract of impure world reincarnation. This also means, even Orochimaru, as a caster, can no longer exert any restraint or control effects on Uchiha Madara. In other words, Uchiha Madara has completely mastered the impure world reincarnation body that can move freely. And, what's more terrifying is that this body also possesses the infinite chakra and the ability of infinite life. It can be said, as long as Six Paths does not come out, it will never die. Aware of this, the dark in the dark, white Zetsu suddenly felt ecstatic. Wonderful. It's amazing. Who can imagine that Uchiha Madara knows the complete impure world reincarnation technique? I cracked it so easily, thus, after that, he can almost directly push the ninja world. Project Tasuki no Mi, no longer a dream, save mom plan. I can finally get one step closer, just when Black Zetsu was excited. Uchiha Obito on this side was suddenly startled. In addition to shock, there is a trace of complex emotion in his eyes. Silent, I don't know what I'm thinking about. And at this time, opposite them, Orochimaru on this side froze, his face pale. Compared to the pain on the body, in his heart, he was even more shocked. He gritted his teeth tightly, his face was tense, and he stared at Uchiha Madara in disbelief, his pupils tightening. Damn it. Trouble. This is a big problem. The uncontrolled Uchiha Madara is already outrageously strong. Advertisement now, he even cancelled the impure world reincarnation contract. What's so special? Isn't it possible to do whatever you want? Not good. In this way, isn't it possible that I, Orochimaru, will die here? Aware of this, Orochimaru's heart suddenly became dark, gritted his teeth unwillingly, and clenched his fist. Zero. Do not. How could I die like this? I haven't seen the full picture of Suya Palace, I haven't got the body given by Sas, I haven't seen the true ultimate technique. I can't die yet. Orochimaru's eyes were dignified, and his brain started thinking extremely fast. At the same time, drops of cold sweat also gradually surfaced on his forehead. However, at this time, the Uchiha Madara on the opposite side still did not take any action, but looked at Orochimaru indifferently, and said indifferently. What's the matter with your expression? Are you afraid that I will kill you? Do not misunderstand. Aunt, I have no interest in trampling to death. As soon as Uchiha Madara's faint words came out, Orochimaru's thoughts were interrupted instantly, and his brain went blank on the spot. Am I a mere ant? Orochimaru froze, he lives so big. Famous for so long in Ninja World, for the first time, someone called him in such a contemptuous tone. This is haughty Uchiha Madara. After a pause, Orochimaru gritted his teeth slightly again. Spray, what should I do? At the beginning, Master Qing Yu gave me the scroll that sealed Uchiha Madara out of trust in me. But now, I let Uchiha Madara escape. How to explain to him? Orochimaru was thinking about the ordinary time. Suddenly, only heard from the front, Uchiha Obito wearing a mask made a low voice and said. Let me take care of it, Orochimaru, a very cunning man. Leaving him alive in the world will only hinder our future plans. It's better to kill it directly. The moment the voice fell, Obito stepped out suddenly, jumped, and appeared directly in front of Orochimaru. Seeing this sudden picture, Orochimaru naturally shook suddenly, his heart lifted up again, his face changed drastically. This? Damn you. Why? Madara said to let me go, you still do it? While horrified, 4.6 there is no time to think about it. Orochimaru gritted his teeth and chose to attack. Shulking snake hand. Boom, the moment he raised his hand. On the arm, several swift snake shadows suddenly rushed out, and they rushed towards Obito who was directly opposite. At the same time, he also withdrew his body back in an instant. However, at this moment, the mutation happened suddenly. I saw Orochimaru's snake hand attack. Instead of injuring Obito, it penetrated directly. Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly, his hair was terrifying. The body froze involuntarily, however, next moment. Obito has already approached him, his eyes are cold. Kuwu directly lifted the hand, and stabbed it without hesitation. Puff. Bright red blood splashes. The black kunai accurately hit Orochimaru's heart and penetrated completely. With the splash of blood, tearing pain spread instantly. Orochimaru's face suddenly changed, and his pupils dilated. And, just at this moment, he suddenly remembered. There seems to be an ultimate life-saving method in my own hands. That was 3 years ago, the props Qing Yu asked Kabuto to give him. Pure White Scroll, Chapter 232 within the Cognition, the only person who killed the soul, subscription. Advertisement 3 years ago, when Konan Hachunin took the exam. In order for Orochimaru to successfully join the Zai Palace camp, he dragged Sarutobi Hiruzen as Fengying, and then arranged for Yakushi Kabuto to steal Konoha's forbidden technique collection, the Book of Seals. And when Kabuto handed the stolen sealbook to Qing Yu announced that the two of them could formally join the Shuyi Palace, and then gave each of them a white scroll. With this, as a proof of acceptance of the two in the Suya Palace. According to him, there is a special mantra engraved in this scroll. As long as you open it, you can immediately summon the members of the Shuyi Palace to come to help. But, as Qing Yu emphasized, you can't just open it until the critical moment of life or death. Therefore, until now, Orochimaru has never touched this pure white scroll at all. But, he always carried it on his body for better storage. Past, he has hardly encountered any mortal situation, of course there is no need to use it. But now, it's no longer necessary, he is facing a Uchiha Obito with a very strange ability, plus an almost invincible Third Uchiha Madara. This lineup is not something he can escape at all. When the consciousness was about to fade, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly shook, and then suddenly gritted his teeth, quickly raised his hand, and took out the scroll directly from behind. At the moment he took it out, he also opened the scroll completely in the air. Seeing this weird picture, not only Uchiha Obito, but Uchiha Madara in the distance was also taken aback. What's the situation? Pure white scroll? On the verge of death? Does this Orochimaru still have enough power to resist? See here, Uchiha Obito's eyes suddenly sank, and he realized that something was wrong. He raised his hand in an instant, and directly pulled Kuwu out of Orochimaru's chest, and then, he was about to cut towards the scroll. After all, as long as the spell on the scroll is destroyed before the spell is cast, all the spells will fail in an instant. This is common sense. However, just after he saw the contents of the scroll clearly, his face suddenly stiffened. Directly forced. And many more. What is the situation? Is this just a fight word? Obito was dumbfounded for a moment. And at the moment, not just him, when Uchiha Madara in the distance saw this clean white scroll with a simple Do written on it. Even if he had always been calm and wise, he couldn't help but be stunned at this moment. Cannot read. Completely incomprehensible. What's the meaning? This Orochimaru took out such a thing when he was alive and dead. Gah. Just when the two were stunned, the unfolded Do scroll fell down along with Orochimaru's body. Nothing happened. Not even the slightest chakra fluctuation. And at the moment, Orochimaru's hand, but still firmly grasped the edge of the scroll, without any relaxation. At the same time, on the other side of the country of wind. Under a valley. In order to let Yakushi Kabuto complete the task better, Qing Yu is still explaining the purpose of various props to him. But at this moment, suddenly, his heart moved slightly and the words stopped. Quote. See this. Yakushi Kabuto on the opposite side was naturally surprised. After staring at Qing Yu for a moment, he cautiously said. Qing Yu-sama. What's wrong? Heard that, Qing Yu just came back to his senses. And his gaze also became a little weird, looking at Kabuto, and said. Orochimaru may have something wrong. Advertisement. When Qing Yu's sudden voice fell, Kabuto's face was startled for a while, and he froze directly. What? Orochimaru-sama, something happened. Kabuto was completely confused by nature, and repeated in disbelief. After all, not long ago, Qing Yu was still talking about props. Why did the conversation suddenly change, however? Before he could react, seeing Qing Yu directly raised his hand, a thin white cloth strip suddenly appeared in his hand. Immediately, began to revolve around Qing Yu. Seeing this picture, Kabuto's heart was shocked, and his pupils shrank slightly. This picture, he saw it for the first time, at this time. Qing Yu looked at Kabuto and said lightly, remember the white scroll I gave you a few years ago? Just now, Orochimaru opened the scroll. I'll go over and take a look. As soon as the voice fell, all the white cloth strips converged like a storm in an instant, covering Qing Yu's body completely in an instant. At the next moment, all the cloth strips began to gradually become transparent and disappear into the air. And Qing Yu, who was standing in front of him, has completely disappeared. It wasn't until this moment that Kabuto suddenly remembered. White scroll? Was it the prop that Qing Yu gave them to save their lives in Konoha? Said it is possible to summon the members of Suya Palace to help. Did not expect, Master Qing Yu actually set off in person. Kabuto suddenly felt emotional. Follow him, sure enough. The picture returns to this side. The mountain range where the country of grass and the country of rain meet. Three figures stand on the plain. Standing on the left are still Uchiha Obito wearing a mask, and Uchiha Madara of Impure World reincarnation. Opposite them, Orochimaru was lying on the ground, holding the white scroll tightly. At this moment, there is almost no consciousness left. The heart was pierced, and the flow of blood made his vitality dissipate continuously. However, even so, he still seems to have poured all his hopes on the white scroll in his hand. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Madara glanced at each other, both were a little weird. This scroll, let alone what it did. The word, Do, alone can't even make up the seal of skills. Visible, it seems to be just a bluff. After a while, Uchiha Madara turned around indifferently, turned his back to Obito, and said indifferently. Let's go, Obito. There is no need to waste time on such trivial ants. It's time to continue our plan. Hearing that, Uchiha Obito did not directly follow, but looked at Orochimaru again, and then, as if thinking, authentically. Although he doesn't seem to have the strength to resist now. But, for the sake of insurance, let's solve it directly. With that said, Obito took a step forward, ready to make another move, and went out of the way. After spending so many years in the ninja world, after so many years of being behind the scenes, Obito undoubtedly knows the importance of cutting grass and roots. Therefore, of course he didn't want to leave just like that. What if Orochimaru is alive again when they are gone? A man like him who masters the core technology of impure world reincarnation cannot stay long. Thinking so far, Obito directly raised his hand, ready to make up again. At this moment, Uchiha Madara, who was facing his back, realized his unauthorized actions and frowned slightly. But at this critical moment, the mutation happened suddenly. Boom! A terrifying white light suddenly came in from the plain white scroll in Orochimaru's hand. Advertisement at the same time, a real-like violent wind suddenly moved towards the surrounding area and spread out instantly. Boom! Because the air pressure was too strong, it even made a roar like an explosion. Obito, so close, almost did not react at all, and was directly lifted by this storm. Obito's pupils shrank suddenly. Although he didn't suffer any injuries, he was still shocked. Nani? What is this? A scroll with only one word engraved on it, can it still work? This TM is too outrageous, right? However, at this time. Suddenly, in this dazzling white light, a black figure began to slowly condense, with countless white cloth strips flying around it. Seeing this picture, Obito's breathing suddenly stagnated, and he froze on the spot. When he saw the silhouette of that figure, the thoughts in his heart were directly interrupted, and his brain was almost blank for an instant. This TM? What's the situation? Is it that guy, again? Obito's face turned pale suddenly, and he froze on the spot. Although the white light is too dazzling, he couldn't see the specific features clearly. But he can't forget this outline, because, not long ago, he almost died directly on this man's 5 swirling dragons of destruction. Obito gritted his teeth, his pupils dilated, unbelievably 060. At the same time, Uchiha Madara in the front, of course, also noticed this strange figure in the white light. He has always been calm and indifferent, but his eyes sank for a while. Out of my keen sixth sense, of course he noticed that there was a not-so-good feeling. This figure, it is not a weak existence. While thinking, Uchiha Madara slowly turned around, combined his eyes, and stared forward indifferently. And at the moment, Orochimaru on this side, when I saw this familiar figure, my heart suddenly shook, as if returning to the light, and the corners of his mouth opened in an instant. An unprecedented excited smile appeared on his face. It's him, he came here in person, this moment. Orochimaru was extremely excited as if he had forgotten the pain. In fact, when he was using the scroll just now, it's completely with the mentality of gambling. After all, with so many members in the Suya Palace, he was not sure who could come. What if the members who come are not strong enough to beat the opponents Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito? Taking a step back, what if the person who comes is a fox ghost? The fox ghost, it seems that he has rebelled against Shuyi Palace. Therefore, in Orochimaru's heart, it must be false to say not to panic. He is the only one who can definitely save himself. In fact, there is only one. The King of Void Night, a man with the true eyes of the evil king with golden eyes, Qing Yu. He who owns Zanpakutō, it is the only person who can kill the soul within Orochimaru's knowledge. As long as he comes, not to mention a dirty Uchiha Madara, even if Madara in its heyday is resurrected, it is not necessarily his opponent. Therefore, although Orochimaru seems to be as stable as an old dog, it has been panicked. Fortunately now, everything is over. Qing Yu really came here in person. From now on, turn it over. Chapter 233 Madara. I hope you won't be too tempted to fight, seeking subscription. Advertisement. The storm gradually stopped, the light faded. The white strips of cloth gradually turned into souls and dissipated in the air. All the noise dissipated within a second. It also showed the appearance of the figure in it. Red clouds and black robe, brown hair, black knife, golden pupil. Qing Yu. This moment, it seemed that everything around was quiet. No one speaks, no one is acting, until a moment later. Uchiha Madara of Impure World Reincarnation opened his mouth indifferently. He said with a unique low voice, indifferently. Who? His words broke the silence in an instant. However, heard this, Qing Yu did not answer. Instead of looking at Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito on the opposite side, he lowered his head slightly and looked at Orochimaru on one side. His face is expressionless and his heart is like Shisui. After staring for a while, he raised his hand slightly and made a single-handed movement like a knot. The next moment, a green light suddenly rushed from his fingertips to Orochimaru's body, completely enveloping it, forming a pyramid-like shape. Immediately afterwards, something strange happened suddenly. I saw the wound on Orochimaru's chest was healed by a wonderful force, and the blood no longer flowed out. And that green light quickly repaired the scar on his heart. Although calm, however, the recovery was very fast. After seeing this, let alone Obito and Madara, even Orochimaru himself couldn't help but stunned, slightly stunned. And after he really reacted, heart, it has been completely repaired. Orochimaru's pupils shook, and his heart was ecstatic in an instant. Awesome, Qing Yu is really awesome. Unexpectedly, he actually mastered this high-level Muji medical ninjutsu? This is too outrageous, and just when he was happy. Uchiha Obito on the other side looked hard, and even stiffened. What happened? This Qing Yu is even good at TM's medical ninjutsu. And, looking at the speed of this repair, it is not weaker than the secret treasure of the Void Knight Palace given to me by the Fox Ghost. How can this be? How many backhands does this guy hide? Obito gritted his teeth slightly. At this time, Qing Yu in the front raised his eyes, looked over here, and said indifferently. It looks like, sure enough, I didn't expect it. The contract of impure world reincarnation really couldn't trap the famous Uchiha Madara. Talking, his gaze looked straight ahead at Uchiha Madara. It happened to meet his eyes. Even though Uchiha Madara still showed a strong sense of oppression, Qing Yu still stood calmly and stood tall. But the question Madara just asked, he didn't answer at all. The scene suddenly fell into silence again, at this time. Uchiha Obito gritted his teeth slightly and looked at Uchiha Madara, who was aside with complicated eyes, and said in a low voice. This person is the guy the first just told you about, the eternal burning pupil in the Akatsuki organization. Qing Yu. As soon as the voice fell, Madara's eyes moved slightly, and then she suddenly noticed, in Qing Yu's eyes, there was a golden light that was burning like a flame. Eternal burning pupil master? Oh, it's really a gorgeous description. Uchiha Madara still holds his chest with both hands, staring at Qing Yu with a condescending gaze, indifferently. Now that you know who I am, you can still maintain such a peaceful state of mind and appear in front of me. This courage is not bad. Uchiha Madara looked at Qing Yu without joy or sorrow, and said lightly. It looks like a compliment from the elders to the younger ones. Advertisement, however, after hearing this, Qing Yu suddenly showed a faint smile, and smiled unhesitatingly. Thanks for the compliment, however, your Sharingan is of no use to me, please do not continue to use illusions on me. When Qing Yu's sudden voice came out, Obito, who was next to him, was stunned. Huh? Illusion? What's the situation? However, when he looked at Madara dumbfounded. But at this moment, Madara's face suddenly changed subtly, and then, her eyes sank slightly. His face changed from the indifference to a little serious. Afterwards, he said in a low voice, Squirt. The so-called eye of the evil king, really still has some strength. Can you see through my illusion directly? Interesting? Uchiha Madara said in a low voice, but the aura on his body began to get stronger and stronger, and he felt like he was waiting. On the other side, Qing Yu's expression is still leisurely, casually saying. It's just a basic operation, didn't Obito next to you tell you? As soon as this word came out, Madara hasn't responded yet. Uchiha Obito on the side was breathless and gritted his teeth. I did not say, so how can I have a chance to say it? Uchiha Madara has just been resurrected not long ago, it is when confidence is overflowing, let me say what. Up to now, Obito certainly understood what was going on. Just, without warning at all, Uchiha Madara seems to be trying to verify the power of Qing Yu's evil king's true eyes, and deliberately used Sharingan's illusion on him when speaking. Unexpectedly, it was directly dismantled by Qing Yu on the spot. To know something like this, Obito has tried countless times. But I have never succeeded at all. Because of this, he was convinced of the power of Qing Yu's pupil technique. At least, it is definitely not weaker than Mangekyo Sharingan. After a moment of silence, Obito looked at Uchiha Madara next to him, gritted his teeth, and said stiffly. His true eyes of the evil king. It does have the ability to be immune to illusions. And more than that, there are all kinds of extremely powerful 5-attribute upgraded ninjutsu, which can be released without the need for seals, and there are countless various tricks. The destructive power, speed, and prevention and control capabilities are all first class. Even, it's not weaker than Rinnegan at all. Obito looked at Uchiha Madara and said in a very low voice. Although he doesn't want to praise his enemies, but he had to admit these, because this is the result of his observations over the years. Especially the Rain Shinobi village battle not long ago completely refreshed his knowledge of Qing Yu's strength. In the case of Six Paths Pain completely lost to the Fox Ghost. With an incomparably strong force, he turned the situation around for a long time, and Shunpo also forced the Fox back. This kind of terrifying strength, let alone rivaling Rinnegan, surpassing Rinnegan is completely arguable. Only, in order to take care of Madara's mentality. He didn't say it directly, after all, he also knew that Rinnegan was one of Madara's most valued powers. And at the moment, unexpectedly, after hearing Obito's introduction, not only did Madara not become serious about it, but instead looked over for a while, and then appeared with a hint of arrogant contempt, and said indifferently. You mean, his impenetrable golden eyes. Isn't it weaker than Rinnegan? This is really interesting. Could it be, have you seen the true peak of Rinnegan, Obito? As soon as this word came out, Obito choked in his throat for a moment and was speechless. Advertisement woolen cloth, Rinnegan at the pinnacle? What's the meaning? Did he mean that the Rinnegan used by Nagato can't be considered the pinnacle? If so, then he, Obito, has never seen the power of peak Rinnegan. After all, from the time he met the elderly Uchiha Madara, Rinnegan is no longer in his hands. Just as Obito was stunned and thinking, Madara suddenly turned her head back and looked at Qing Yu on the opposite side. She lowered her eyes slightly and said in a low voice. Well, although let me deal with a kid of your age personally, there is a suspicion of bullying the little one. But, since Obito is so convinced of your abilities, it seems necessary for him to take a look. Uchiha Madara's power is gone. The voice fell. Madara's eyes suddenly burst into a coquettish red light. Afterwards, he raised his hands, moved slightly, and said in a long-lost tone. I hope you don't fight too hard. As soon as Uchiha Madara's voice fell, Opposite Qing Yu hadn't reacted yet, and Obito's face suddenly changed slightly. What's the situation? Does he plan to fight Qing Yu here? What's so special? Obito gritted his teeth slightly, almost subconsciously trying to speak. However, before he opened his mouth, suddenly, a scene that shocked him appeared. I saw Uchiha Madara suddenly jumped after saying that, and the figure shot out, rushing directly to the front Qing Yu. Boom! The speed he swept up was comparable to a hurricane, and instantly brought an extremely fierce shockwave around. This extreme speed even far exceeds the teleportation speed he showed before. However, the expression on his face is still indifferent, as if he is still at ease. Strong self-confidence, undoubtedly revealed. Seeing this picture, Orochimaru on this side naturally shook suddenly. Got it. Uchiha Madara, who was at the pinnacle of the ninja world, finally shot Qing Yu. It's too late to say, then it's fast, between electric light and flint. Uchiha Madara's black figure had already swept in front of Qing Yu, and immediately, it was a swift punch that bombarded Qing Yu's face in front. The kings, driven by chakra, the punches are frighteningly fast. It is still extremely skilled in physical skills. Although his Uchiha Madara does not have a plug-in sage body like Senju Hashirama, his physical skills can still be regarded as the front line of Jonin. Whether it is speed or destructive power, it is absolutely top-notch. At this moment, the violent wind brought up by his fist blew Qing Yu's brown hair instantly, revealing his face. However, just when the fist is about to hit, suddenly, Sang Yi. A sound like a tearing storm appeared. Qing Yu's figure turned into an afterimage and disappeared in place. Boom! Uchiha Madara's fist was instantly emptied. At this time, Qing Yu's body is actually the same as when Uchiha Madara dealt with Orochimaru before. Same, it appeared directly on the right side of Madara. Immediately, he kicked in a similar way and kicked it directly. Seeing this familiar picture, Uchiha Obito and Orochimaru who watched the battle were surprised at the same time. Qing Yu's actions, it's almost like a perfect reproduction. However, the fierceness and explosive power of this kick is still above the previous Uchiha Madara. Bow. Chapter 234 Fire Style vs. Fire Style, Overestimate, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement boom. Between the roar of the storm. Qing Yu kicked it, and Uchiha Madara naturally reacted immediately. Seeing his eyes condensed, he directly raised his hand expressionlessly and quickly rushed towards the right leg kicked by Qing Yu. Bang! Qing Yu's leg and Uchiha Madara's arm directly collided together. The shocking picture appeared. I saw that under the feet of the two of them, the earth broke apart in an instant, and it stretched out like a spider web. Boom! The violent wind pressure that followed instantly expanded. Orochimaru and Uchiha Obito who were watching the battle were directly pushed out. The two of them suddenly looked shocked, but at this moment, a picture that surprised them even more appeared. I saw, at the center of the crashing storm, Uchiha Madara, who was still blocking, suddenly flew out of it. Ton. His body was like a cannonball that was blasted out, and he shot out directly, hitting the huge boulder in the distance. Bang! The boulder was shattered and turned into smoke and dust in the sky. Seeing this picture, this time, not only Orochimaru and Obito, but even Black Zetsu, who was hiding in secret, couldn't help but froze. What's the situation? This Qing Yu is so awesome even with physical skills. Body strength is still above Madara, however. Haven't waited for them to think carefully, I saw the figure of Uchiha Madara among the huge stone ruins in the distance, shooting again. Base, like an afterimage, he returned to the battlefield. His eyes stared at the front, but his expression remained unchanged, still indifferent and arrogant. At this time, above the cracked earth on the opposite side, the storm gradually ceased, and Qing Yu also retracted his foot. Madara raised her eyes, expressionless, and said faintly. It was unexpected. If you talk about physical skills alone, you already have the strength of my life. It seems, I also need to be a little more serious. When the 060 words fell, Uchiha Madara no longer hesitated, and directly raised his hand, putting his fingers together in front of his mouth. Fire style extinguished the fire. As Sharingan's eyes flickered, chakra, like an ocean tide, was immediately mobilized. Immediately after that, the chakra turned into a monstrous flame in an instant, bursting out from Uchiha Madara's mouth in an instant, and in an instant, it completely swallowed the feathers in front of it. Huge fire, covered the entire grassland in front of it almost completely. The flames like ocean tides started from in front of Uchiha Madara, touched instantly, and directly burned all the weeds and flowers in front of him. The power of paving the way for the ground, overbearing. Uchiha Madara stared ahead, her face indifferent. As the pinnacle of the fire-style world, a mere B-level ninjutsu was abruptly used by him to produce an S-level effect. Obito on the side saw this picture and couldn't help but startled. This TM is the fire extinguished, it's too exaggerated. Is this the power of Madara, the pinnacle of the Uchiha clan? Obito's pupils shrank slightly, his breathing was stagnant, and a drop of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Before that, he has always been afraid that Uchiha Madara is not as powerful as Qing Yu, so he doesn't want Madara to fight Qing Yu here. However, it now appears that his power is equally terrifying. Not surprisingly, as long as he gets serious, he can completely fight Qing Yu. Obito's eyes gleamed slightly, however, just when he thought about it in general. Suddenly, a faint voice came out from the fierce fire. The fire of Uchiha Madara, this is it? The moment the voice fell, Obito and Madara's eyes shrank suddenly, and they looked at them instantly. Advertisement, however, at this moment, I saw a huge cyan storm suddenly erupted in the flames. Boom! The fierce hurricane, as if it has a devouring force, at the moment it appeared, it even ACEG all the surrounding flames to empty in an instant. The two immediately saw it, Qing Yu on the opposite side, holding a majestic cyan storm in his hand. And the next moment, all the hurricanes instantly bombarded both Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Madara. Hados 58, Wenlan, see this weird picture. The pupils of the two shrank at the same time, and it was too late to think about it. Boom! The storm passed by the two of them. On the ground, a terrifying crack was formed. Next moment, the flame disappeared and the storm stopped. Opposite Qing Yu, still standing unscathed, with a long smile on his face. However, after seeing the weird picture just now, Uchiha Madara's gaze suddenly sank. He finally noticed. Qing Yu of this golden pupil is indeed not as simple as it seems. To know, in the 5-attribute escape technique, it also possesses the basic attributes of mutual generation and mutual restraint. And among them, fire style and wind style are basic common sense. In other words, under normal circumstances, wind style will not only be restrained by fire style when facing fire, but it will also make the fire more intense. But just now, Qing Yu directly uses wind style to clear all his flames. And, look at him like that, it seemed that he was quite comfortable, as if he didn't use all his strength at all. Uchiha Madara's eyes gleamed slightly, the heart sinks. Although he didn't release fire style with all his strength just now, he was able to suppress his escape technique so much. Apart from Hashirama of the Year, this guy is also considered the first person. Aware of this, Uchiha Madara raised her eyes slightly and said indifferently. It's the first time I have seen a young ninja like you have such a high level of knowledge in wind style. So, let you see the real fire style. The moment the voice fell, Uchiha Madara immediately raised both hands, no longer hesitating, and the seal was completed quickly. Immediately afterwards, his eyes condensed, and he said in a deep voice. Fire style Long Yan Song technique. Boom. The moment the voice fell, the ocean-like chakra instantly capsized. This time, he no longer has any reservations, infuse your own maximum amount of chakra and shoot directly. And the next moment, I saw 4 majestic fire dragons instantly appeared on the earth, the hot red color, like hot magma tearing the earth apart. Instantly raised the surrounding temperature directly. For a moment, the fire dragon rushed towards Qing Yu from 4 directions at the same time. Although its momentum does not seem to be as heavy as the previous violent fire extinguishing, however, its sense of oppression is even more terrifying. The rumbling sound is constant, like a dragon roar, exuding a breathtaking pressure. And the place where the fire dragon flies, everything is melted directly by the high temperature. Even the boulders on the ground were instantly shattered and melted into the magma. Seeing this picture, Orochimaru on the other side suddenly opened his eyes wide, as if he had seen a ghost. This horrible fire style, it's so outrageous. And at the moment, Uchiha Madara still just stared at Qing Yu, his eyes indifferent. So, let me see how you choose to deal with this trick. No matter how brilliant the spells are, in the face of absolutely powerful forces, they are all useless tricks. This is the law that Uchiha Madara has always believed in. Therefore, he decided to use the Long Yan Song technique with the strongest attack power to take a good look at how Qing Yu would respond. But at this moment, what he didn't expect was. The opposite Qing Yu didn't mean to evade or seal resistance, but arbitrarily put his hands together. The next moment, he looked at Uchiha Madara, grinned slightly, and chuckled. It's me too. 33 of Hado Kanghuo Pendant. The moment the voice fell, in front of Qing Yu, the majestic Ling Xilu appeared instantly. At the next moment, those spirits immediately began to gather together, gradually turning into a flame group, condensing in front of Qing Yu's body, ready to go. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Madara's eyes moved slightly, indifferently. Want to use fire style against my fire style? I can't help myself. With a small fire style of this scale, I want to stop the dragon flame from singing technique. From Madara's point of view, everything is like a man's arm as a car. However, what happened in the next moment stopped Uchiha Madara's gaze in an instant. I saw Qing Yu in front of him. The blue flame spewed out in an instant, turned into a sky full of pale light, and rushed directly to the 4 fire dragons of Uchiha Madara. Boom! The two collided on the ground. I saw that the fire dragons that were still constantly advancing, the moment they touched the blue fire fall, they stopped directly, unable to move forward an inch, and finally, they collapsed directly. Boom! The bursting sound of the 4 fire dragons, almost in the same instant, directly sounded. Bang! Seeing this picture, Madara's expression lived for the first time. However, before he could react, the opposite Qing Yu didn't seem to mean to stop. He raised his right hand again, still maintaining a leisurely smile, looked at Uchiha Madara here, and chuckled. It's not over yet. Hado number 73 Double Lotus Kanghuo Pendant. Boom. The moment the voice fell, the monstrous blue fire wave suddenly appeared in front of Qing Yu, suddenly bursting out. All the exploding spirits seemed to be ignited instantly at this moment, bursting into a jumping flame, boiling and bursting in the air. From the surface to the sky, it spread suddenly. Like a blue sea of fire, it pours down. That overwhelming impact, just staring at it, makes it almost hard to breathe. Even, it seems to completely evaporate the surrounding moisture in an instant. The whole sky, in this moment, it was completely obscured by the blue flame frenzy. The scale of this horror, whether it is scope or oppressiveness, far exceeds Uchiha Madara's arrogance. Seeing the overwhelming pale flames in front of me. This moment, Uchiha Madara's pupils shrank suddenly, completely regretting it. If it is possible to achieve this level in other attribute escape techniques, Uchiha Madara may not feel any strange. After all, among the users of water style, there are individuals who can achieve this level. One of Uchiha Madara's former rivals, Senju Hashirama's younger brother, second Hokage Senju Tobirama, can make the best water style. Its strength is called sea escape, even Uchiha Madara has to admit. But now, opposite Qing Yu, but it is fire style. It is Uchiha Madara's best escape technique. However, the fire style displayed by him, in terms of intensity and scope, far exceeds any fire style ever seen by Uchiha Madara. The key is this flame is still upgraded blue. Could it be that this is one of the powers of the evil king's true eye that Obito just said? Can he achieve this level? Uchiha Madara's pupils shrink slightly. Conservative estimate, the power of this technique is enough to annihilate 5 fierce fires, but it's more than enough. And, the guy on the opposite side, the expression is still easy to do. That was the reason that shocked him, he can't believe. A ninja so young, it is so easy to play such a terrifying strength. This technique, it's no longer as good as the words, reaching the peak. This is the superior fire style. Chapter 235 Qing Yu. I really don't understand fire style, seeking subscription. Advertisement aware of this, Uchiha Madara's eyes seemed to sink to the bottom. But at this moment, I saw countless blue flames above the sky, and all of them suddenly rushed downward. That huge momentum is like thunder in the sky, boom. Seeing this picture, Obito behind Uchiha Madara, his pupils suddenly shrank and his face changed drastically. Next moment, without saying anything, I just launched Kamui. He gritted his teeth and stared at the blue flame frenzy in the sky in disbelief, his face stiffened almost instantly. Joke, how can someone block this thing? At the beginning, his pale blue fire style, power, obviously not so big, it's right. Could it be that, this guy, sure enough, has it continued to grow stronger all the time? Obito's eyes are extremely complicated, in fact. Qing Yu's blue fire style, he has seen it countless times a long time ago. Even the name can be memorized. However, because this was the power of his true eyes of the evil king, Obito was unable to figure out the principle, and it was impossible to analyze or decipher it. However, he can be sure. The pale fire style of the year is definitely not as exaggerated as it is now. Even, it can be said that it is a world. Now, the rapid fall of the sea of fire caused an explosion like wind pressure in an instant, which caused a deafening blast. Between the whole world, as if there was only flame left, nothing else. As the blue flame approaches, Uchiha Madara's eyes suddenly sank. He finally realized that he had to take it seriously, and after that, he stepped and jumped directly, his hands instantly formed seals, and he said in a deep voice. Wood style, tree, world, drop, birthday, boom. The moment the voice fell, I saw Uchiha Madara's feet, the ground instantly cracked. And the next moment, the huge branches of Daojin stretched out in an instant, and they were as if they were infused with extremely strong vitality, growing extremely fast. In an instant, a huge forest shield was formed instantly, covering Uchiha Madara's body completely. The sheer scale is staggering, however, even so, Uchiha Madara still did not relax, did not stop chakra's release at all. The branches of the outer layer are still growing and spreading at an extremely fast rate, and the scope is constantly expanding. At this time, it happened to collide with Qing Yu's double lotus blue fire fall. Boom! The monstrous vibration caused an explosion like a loud noise. However, what Uchiha Madara did not expect is, the outermost trees that are constantly growing are burnt to ashes at the moment they are in contact with the flame. In no time, his own tree realm birth technique was actually destroyed by more than half of it. Bang bang bang. Continuous explosions sounded again and again. The fire is soaring into the sky. On one side, there is a blue flame that keeps pouring downwards, the light is extremely bright. On one side, there are giant Daojin trees that continue to grow in reverse, with great momentum. Seeing this picture, Orochimaru and Obito who watched the battle were completely stupid. Is this a ninja? It's too ridiculous. The battle between the Fox Ghost and Qing Yu in Rain Shinobi Village was already very scary. Unexpectedly now, another big battle happened before their eyes. And the person in the duel, they're two completely different existences. At this time, as the layers of branches are continuously destroyed and burned out. Above the sky, the scale of the Kanghuo fell naturally began to be weakened, and the flames gradually dissipated. Till the end, advertisement when Uchiha Madara was left with only the final two-layer tree barrier. The pale flame disappeared completely, and at this time. Except for the place where Uchiha Madara's tree world mask is located. All the land around, without exception, the power sputtered by those azure fire falls has already smashed out the huge pit. Even the soil was scorched black, the audience was silent, Yake was silent. Obito and Orochimaru were naturally both stupid, no doubt. This is since the two of them started their careers. The largest escape collision ever seen. What's more terrifying is that even wood style, which has always been called invincible, showed a somewhat weak picture for the first time. If the flame of Qing Yu just lasted for a while longer, probably the result is different. And here, after seeing all the flames disappear, Uchiha Madara let out a deep breath, then dispersed chakra, spreading the surrounding branches. His expression is still indifferent and arrogant, but his eyes are staring at Qing Yu solemnly. It seems that I am going to take back what I said earlier. Xiaoji Qing Yu, your fire style can already compete with my wood style. There is no doubt that in fire style, none of the people I have played against is better than you. I Uchiha Madara, I would like to call you the strongest. Uchiha Madara looked at Qing Yu and said calmly, the voice echoed all around. In fact, from the moment his dragon flame singing technique attacked Qing Yu just now, he discovered that Qing Yu used the blue flame to counteract his attack. That time, Uchiha Madara has been able to conclude that this Qing Yu must be a strong player in fire style. But he did not expect the other party can be so strong to this outrageous point. Even he, who is best at fire wine escape, didn't necessarily achieve this level when he was alive. Therefore, he will not hesitate to call it the strongest fire style. However, at this moment, after hearing Uchiha Madara's words, Qing Yu on the opposite side couldn't help but chuckled. The strongest? This is really a misunderstanding? To be honest, I don't really understand fire style. The moment Qing Yu's voice fell, Uchiha Madara's pupils were taken aback, staring at the opposite Qing Yu, slightly startled. What? He doesn't know much about fire style? What Uchiha Madara's thoughts, suddenly, he was almost directly disrupted by Qing Yu's words. After a while, he narrowed his eyes slightly and said indifferently. Are you playing mystery? Can use a blue fire style to such an almost devastating degree? Even a person like Uchiha Madara who specializes in fire attribute escape cannot do it at the peak of his lifetime. And such people, it must be the control of fire style to a terrifying level. So, Uchiha Madara certainly doesn't believe Qing Yu's words. He will only feel, this is what Qing Yu deliberately said in order to disturb his thinking. However, hearing Uchiha Madara's words, Qing Yu chuckled helplessly, spreading his hands. Real, why don't you try my other skills? Qing Yu raised her eyebrows, not smiling. But in his mind, at this moment, a series of system tasks are constantly sounding system prompts. Ding! Congratulations to host, the side mission has been completed. Meet Impure World Reincarnation. Uchiha Madara's fire style, 1/1, completed. Reward. Ryatsu plus 500. Mul points plus 200. Meet Impure World Reincarnation Uchiha Madara's wood style, 1/1, once, completed. Reward. Ryatsu plus 800. Mul points plus 300. Meet the Impure World Reincarnation Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, 1/1, unfinished, reward unknown. That's right. The reason why Qing Yu fought with him, of course, was not for fun. When he came to the front of the #1 king of Ninja World, he directly triggered a series of side missions in the system. 0. Seeking flowers, and advertisement. The rewards for each task are extremely rich. Even though Qing Yu doesn't look at the system much, but still can't help but want to do it smoothly. After all, this kind of reward for nothing, don't do it for nothing. And, this time, the confrontation with Madara was head-on, although it was unexpected by Qing Yu. But in this way, after that, I don't have to worry about the ninja villain issue. The ready-made actors are already in place, at the moment. Just need to find a way to force Uchiha Madara's strength to come out and see. I have already seen wood style and fire style, the next key point. Of course it is one word Zebo Gundam Susanoo, while thinking. Qing Yu raised his hand and suddenly made a thoughtful expression, pretending to ask. Hey, let's talk about it. I remember, in the legend of your Uchiha clan, is there a power called Suzu? It is said that that is the power that Mangekyo Sharingan has developed to ultimate. It seems to be called the power of God, right? Qing Yu looked at Uchiha Madara with a leisurely look, and said with a smile. I'm curious, does this kind of divine power really exist? 0. Quote. Question mark exclamation mark. Quote. After Qing Yu's voice fell. This moment. Not only Madara, but Obito behind was also taken aback for a while. What's the situation? How does this guy even know this? Susanoo, obviously, it's been a long time since this world has passed, right? There was a moment of silence. Uchiha Obito looked at Madara who was aside, with a strange expression. To be honest, he has never seen the real Susanoo either. However, logically speaking, this once famous ninja Shura will undoubtedly be able to. In other words, Qing Yu deliberately mentioned it at this time. Chances are you trying to motivate Uchiha Madara to use this trick? What is his purpose? Aware of this, Obito was about to remind him instantly. However, before he opened his mouth, but see here. Uchiha Madara suddenly raised her eyes slightly and once again showed an indifferent expression. He just looked at Qing Yu blankly, indifferently. Boring. You are talking about, is it this kind of power? As soon as the voice fell, not waiting for the reaction of everyone present. Suddenly, a bright blue light burst out suddenly. Boom. The fierce chakra burst out from Uchiha Madara's body in an instant, and a gust of wind spread out. I don't know when, his eyes have turned into Mangekyo Sharingan. Immediately after, a huge blue chakra skeleton, condensed in an instant, appeared directly around Uchiha Madara. Next moment, all chakras in Uchiha Madara ignite like flames, all wrapped in blue skeletons. He stepped on the collapsed earth, raised his eyes slightly, and looked at Qing Yu ahead. His eyes were as indifferent as a frozen lake. There is no joy or sadness, and the spleen is all directions. And his body, on the huge blue skeleton, the magnificent samurai armor began to appear, and on the back, two huge blue light wings spread out. On both palms, the magnificent blue chakra blade stretches out to the horizon. Complete body Susanoo. Chapter 236 I've been waiting for a long time, Susanoo Scourge, seeking subscription. Advertisement The dark blue chakra flame exudes an invincible light, dancing with the surrounding wind. Above the ground, countless flying sand, rocks and smoke raged. However, before they touched Uchiha Madara's body, they were completely rejected by the huge blue Valkyrie armor around them. In an instant, apart from chakra, there is nothing in his whole body. The giant armored war god who wrapped him stood tall, holding two huge chakra blades. The spleen is square and majestic, see this picture clearly. In an instant, the audience fell into dead silence again. And Orochimaru and Uchiha Obito who were watching the battle from a distance, their pupils suddenly shrank, and they froze. What's going on? What's the situation with this sense of oppression? Is this Susanoo from Uchiha Madara? The hearts of the two were extremely shocked. They couldn't think of it anyway. Today, they can actually witness Uchiha Madara in this form. This mighty dark blue warrior, under the blessing of Uchiha Madara's majestic chakra, presents an invincible posture. If you use two words to describe it, it can only be shocking. However, just when Orochimaru and Obito were shocked one after another. This moment, standing on the opposite side, Qing Yu raised his head slightly and looked forward, raising his 077 eyes. Although the expression looks very serious and solemn. But he couldn't help but chuckle. Spray. This is really a surprise. Originally wanted to use verbal provocation and crushing power to force his Susanoo out. As a result, who thought, just asked a sentence. This guy didn't say anything, he took the initiative to release Susanoo. The key is, it's not just an ordinary Susanoo state, but complete Susanoo. The pupil power of Mangekyo Sharingan, the power developed to ultimate. Qing Yu's eyes flashed slightly, and a smile flashed. I saw this form with my own eyes, it really is hockey. In fact, of course Qing Yu knows, the essence of Susanoo is just a kind of substantive chakra. Only, unlike ordinary chakra entities, its powerful destructive power and defensive power completely surpassed the ordinary level and reached the tail beast level. We can even say, as long as there are enough chakra casters to stay within Susanoo, all external attacks can be neutralized. Called the strongest defensive wall, however, such a powerful force, of course, will have side effects. Susanoo, it can be said to be a powerful double-edged sword. It is not only the guardian deity that can protect the caster, but also the Shinigami that will constantly devour the vitality of the caster. Some of the opening conditions for the full body form are more stringent. Even looking at the history of the entire Uchiha clan, few people can do this. Unfortunately, as the strongest of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Madara. It is the ultimate existence that Sharingan has developed in the entire ninja world. Susanoo may be the ultimate big move for others, but for him. Basically it is as easy as breathing, if you think about it this way. He opened Susanoo directly, but it was reasonable. While Qing Yu was thinking about it, suddenly, the system prompt sound in his mind interrupted his thoughts. Ding! Congratulations to host, the side mission has been completed. Meet the Susanoo, 1/1, of Impure World Reincarnation Uchiha Madara once, completed. Reward. Ryatsu plus 800, Mul points plus 400. Defeat Impure World Reincarnation once. Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, 0/1, not completed, reward unknown. Advertisement, hear this prompt, Qing Yu's eyes lit up and smiled. This was in his expectation. There is no reason why a ninja corps like Uchiha Madara does not have a defeat type side mission. Important players in the system may be late to defeat the task, but they are never absent. While thinking, Qing Yu took back his mind, his complexion recovered calmly, and his eyes looked at Uchiha Madara ahead. And at the moment, the opposite Uchiha Madara was standing inside Susanoo, also looking indifferent, looking at Qing Yu here. Four eyes facing each other, there seemed to be an undercurrent surging in the silence. After a while, Uchiha Madara opened his mouth indifferently. You may not know, among all the opponents I have fought, there was only one person who could enable me to turn on Susanoo with the power of a single person. And his name is Senju Hashirama. As the voice came out, behind Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, the huge wings slowly opened. Immediately afterwards, he slowly rose to the sky surrounded by Susanoo. Like a god, he looked down at the earth from a high ground. His eyes were indifferently, can be tied with that man. This is enough to count the glory of your ninja career. The indifferent voice fell and spread everywhere. And this side, of course, Orochimaru, Obito and others were shocked. Senju Hashirama. No one knows this name. That is the legendary god of ninja, the existence at the top of the ninja world. Moreover, the word god here is not Hanzo of the Salamander's so-called half-god name mixed with water, but a fact generally recognized by the ninja world. But now, Uchiha Madara actually directly put him alongside Senju Hashirama? The weight of this sentence can be seen in Madara. And at this time, after hearing this, Qing Yu here still has a leisurely expression, just chuckled and said, Original, is this what your Uchiha clan calls the power of God? Well, it's a bit more gorgeous than I thought. Qing Yu's leisurely voice fell. Among Susanoo on the opposite side, Uchiha Madara's gaze was momentarily taken aback, startled. Such a mighty power, this guy just said, gorgeous? This sentence, it seems that it corresponds to what he said before that Qing Yu's pupil technique is the same as fancy. After realizing this, just a moment, Uchiha Madara immediately regained his indifference. He condensed his eyes slightly, looking down at Qing Yu condescendingly, and said in a low voice. I saw my perfect body, Susanoo, who can still speak such arrogant words. You are the only one, your arrogance, I admitted, Uchiha Madara. But then, please disappear under the power of God. The moment the voice fell, this moment, Uchiha Madara no longer has any hesitation. Stare. I saw his blood-red eyes flashed suddenly. Mangekyo Hitomi power is activated in an instant. Susanoo, the martial god, suddenly raised the chakra swords in his hands, and instantly slashed towards Qing Yu in front of him. Boom. The moment the huge arm was raised, the sword blade did not fall, and the hurricane caused by the majestic blade instantly drained everything around it. Under Qing Yu, in the ground below, all the sand, rocks and ruins were completely destroyed by this hurricane almost at this instant, and they were divided into two sides. And on top of the two blue sword blades in the hands of Valkyrie Nazuese, at this moment, the fierce blue chakra flame is advancing. The unstoppable huge power presses everything around. Advertisement in Qing Yu below, the red cloud and black robe on his body was also blown by this huge pressure. Seeing this picture, Orochimaru on the side changed his face suddenly, terrified. This is the power of Susanoo? Every move has such a terrifying destructive power? For him who saw this picture for the first time, more than shock, it's just shock. However, at this moment, Uchiha Madara, who is located in Susanoo, still looks indifferent, without joy or sadness. From the beginning, he never planned to keep his hands. Naturally not now. The enemy who saw Susanoo did not leave alive. This sentence, it is not a threat, at least in history. Almost all people who have witnessed Susanoo are dead. Boom. It's too late to say, then it's fast. Two huge chakra blades fell at the ultimate high speed, accompanied by a sound like destroying the sky and destroying the earth, instantly slashing towards Qing Yu. At this time, Qing Yu still stands in place, although there was no action, there was a wonderful smile on his face. Next moment, just when the blade was about to touch Qing Yu, suddenly, a majestic and terrifying coercion broke out in an instant. Boom. The strength of this breath is not weaker than Uchiha Madara's Susanoo. At the same time, behind Qing Yu, a huge iron-armored arm burning with golden flames suddenly appeared. In an instant, it blocked the top of Qing Yu's head. The horrible picture appeared. This huge iron armor actually stopped the two blue giant swords that Susanoo had cut down. Boom. The collision of chakra caused a loud noise. Countless fierce storms spread in an instant, and the blue chakra flames exploded in all directions. And at this moment, the blade of Suzuo, who was still falling at extreme speed just now, stopped 10 centimeters away from Qing Yu's forehead. Can't go down any further, drop a penny. Seeing this picture, after feeling this breath again, Uchiha Madara's pupils on the opposite side suddenly shrank. Immediately afterwards, he was even more stunned. Because at this time, I saw that the ground behind Qing Yu was cracking rapidly at an extremely terrifying speed, revealing indescribable darkness. And that huge arm that was burning with flames just happened to stick out from under the ground. This is not over yet. As the giant hand of his iron armor suddenly stretched out, the black cracks on the ground behind him became bigger and bigger. Immediately afterwards, a huge samurai covered in red and black armor suddenly climbed up from the ground. 4.6 His left hand is still blocking Susanoo's double knives, while his right hand is holding a giant silver samurai sword with a dazzling edge. When it stood up, the thick red and black armor on its body was directly cracked at this moment. In the next moment, almost all the armor of the whole body collapsed automatically. Instead, it is a huge body like an evil spirit under the armor. Boom. Countless Ryotsu storms moved with the burst of his armor, and the entire space around it seemed to be shattered. In an instant, all the people who witnessed this picture are all stupid. Whether it is Obito and Orochimaru in the distance, or Uchiha Madara on this side, after seeing this huge evil samurai. All stiffly froze, incredible, and until then. In the violent storm below, Qing Yu raised his golden eyes, grinned, with a smile on his face, and whispered softly. Awaited, summoning technique, the Black Rope Scourge King Ming has broken his armor and rope clothes. Chapter 237 What? The power of the gods has been chopped up, seeking subscription? Advertisement pass, summoning technique, etc., etc. This, what on earth is this? Black Rope Scourge Ming Wang. Broken armor rope. Hiss. An existence that has never been heard of. Uchiha Madara's pupils shrank slightly, and for the first time he showed a stiff expression, and even his breathing stopped spontaneously. In his nearly 100 years of ninja career, he has never heard of such a summoning thing. Original, when I saw the giant arm of iron armor. Madara's heart also subconsciously thought that this would be some kind of large puppet or something. Result, when he saw the entire body of this huge samurai, he felt sorry for it in an instant. What is this special thing? Unheard of. This moment, the violent wind surging around also began to gradually extinguish. Only deathly silence was left, and at this time, Qing Yu raised his eyes slightly, glanced at the sequel above, which could be the god of war, and his heart moved. Stare. The king of Scourge Ming naturally understood immediately, and immediately used his arm to make a sharp wave of upwards. Boom. originally blocking the hand of Suso. At this moment, Susanoo of Uchiha Madara was directly pushed away from the ground. The two blue Susa blades were pushed back in an instant. Feeling the coming of this tremendous force, Uchiha Madara's heart shrank suddenly, and he was startled. What happened? Pure power, it's still on top of my Susanoo? Aware of this, Uchiha Madara's face suddenly sank. No wonder. Just now this guy will mention the power of the gods of the Uchiha clan, Suzu-O2 Nengu. It turns out that he still has such a backhand just when Uchiha Madara was sinking. The other side, Uchiha Obito, who was watching the battle with his life, his face changed in an instant, and he was directly stunned. What's the situation? A mighty warrior comparable to Susanoo. This is what Uchiha Itachi called Qing Yu's summoning beast. Memories gradually came to mind. Then, when Qing Yu went to the Kingdom of Wind to perform the task of frightening Sanagakure, Uchiha Itachi and his partner, Loquat Juzo, have secretly followed and assisted him. And later, in order to learn more about Qing Yu, Obito asked Uchiha Itachi what he saw and heard during the battle. As a result, I heard incredible content from Uchiha Itachi. When the one-tail Shuhei in Sanagakure broke out, Qing Yu suddenly cast summoning. From within the earth, a huge samurai in jet black armor was summoned. Subsequently, controlling the samurai directly slashed the tailed beast bomb that one-tail Shuhei had accumulated for a long time, shocking the audience. Don't say it's human, even one-tail Shuhei himself was shocked by this power and fled in a hurry. At that time, when I heard what Uchiha Itachi said, in addition to being shocked and outrageous, Obito was of course deeply puzzled. After all, he had never seen the so-called huge armored warrior. And for so many years since then, Qing Yu has never used it again in front of Shao. So that after so many years, Obito almost forgot, this guy still hides such a trick. Now, staring at the King of Scourge, Obito's eyes flashed with a strange color. And many more. What happened? Advertisement. This summoning samurai seems a little strange. How is it not like what Uchiha Itachi once described? Obito remembers clearly, in Itachi's description, the armor of the summoning samurai is almost armed from head to toe, only two eyes are exposed. But now, the moment this summoning warrior appeared, most of the armor on his body was shattered, directly revealing a skeleton-like body. The style of painting is completely different. Could it be that? Was it the power of Madara's Susanoo? Obito frowned and thought. It's no wonder that he thought so. After all, the explosive armor of King Ming had just taken over Susanoo's blade. It looks like it was cut and exploded by Susanoo. The cold wind blows and the flames fly. On the flat grassland, two giant warlords, one blue and one black, were facing the time majestically. On the left, inside the dark blue Susanoo, Uchiha Madara floats in it. His eyes are indifferent, but his face is solemn. On the right side, under the black heavenly scourge Ming King, Qing Yu is still standing on the ground. His eyes are like stars, with a smile on his face. To be honest, the effect of broken armor rope clothes. It was better than he had imagined. This is the first time he has used the ultimate summoning technique. At the beginning, after completing the task of Shu Yi Gong versus Shao, Qing Yu of course also received an extremely powerful reward, that is 1. All items in the mall are upgraded to LV Max. Take Qing Yu's most commonly used summoning technique. At the beginning, the Black Rope Scourge King that Qing Yu first summoned in San Shinobi was the original LV.1 form. Although the power is not bad, but it takes a certain amount of preparation time to launch, and the strength that can be exerted is still limited. And its upgraded LV Max form is today's Ultimate Edition Broken Armor Rope Clothes. Without any preparation time, you can directly summoning, and the power directly reaches the ceiling of the summoning technique in the mall. In Shinigami's original work, Broken Armor Rope Clothing is the final form of Zanpakutō's liberation after the big dog Komamura Sajin used the forbidden technique humanization technique within the clan. At the same time, it is also the final extended change form of the Black Robe Scourge King. King Ming of this type will abandon the heavy armor he wears, with pairs of horns appearing on his head. His face is extremely vicious, he has flame-like eyes and long black hair, and his body is bound with a huge black thick rope. Although there is no defensive power in the armor state, Ryatsu has been able to sublimate again, and the strength has been increased, which can be called pervert level. Looking at Uchiha Madara above in his complete body Susanoo, a faint smile appeared at the corner of Qing Yu's mouth. This alien summoning technique, finally there is a place to be useful. Used to deal with Susanoo, not too big or too small, just right. And at the moment, just when Qing Yu was thinking. Above the sky, Uchiha Madara in Susanoo flickered and said in a deep voice. What kind of power is this? What is such a weird summoning thing? Uchiha Madara, who has always been proud, at this moment. For the first time, there was confusion about the unknown existence. Having lived for nearly 100 years, he always thought that he already knew all the information in the ninja world. But did not expect, after Impure World reincarnation, I saw this incredible thing immediately. The reason why it is incredible, of course, it wasn't just because of the power of King Scourge Ming. But because, after it appeared, the surrounding air seemed to be heavier, and even their breathing became difficult involuntarily. What's even more outrageous is that as long as you stare at this King Ming, you can feel an invisible sense of oppression exerted on the soul. This weird situation is simply unheard of and at the moment. After hearing what Uchiha Madara said, Qing Yu just raised his eyes slightly, looked at Uchiha Madara, and chuckled. I said he was the zero-tailed beast, do you believe it? How can this be believed? Uchiha Madara's face suddenly darkened. It is clear, the other party was molesting him, the zero-tailed beast? How could it exist? Regardless of whether Sage of Six Paths is separated from the soul of 10 tails to 9 tails. Just talk about the shape, this summoning samurai has nothing to do with the beast. Thought of here, Uchiha Madara's face returned to indifference again, and he didn't intend to talk nonsense. Since the other party doesn't want to say, there is no need to understand it carefully. Anyway, they are all enemies to be defeated, and no amount of information is actually meaningful. Advertisement. While thinking, the blue martial god Suso once again set up the huge chakra blade on his hands and turned towards the opposite King Scourge. And his gaze was condescendingly looking down at Qing Yu below, and said indifferently. No need to talk nonsense. Make a move, pupil master Qing Yu. I don't want to be told that I am Uchiha Madara bullying the small. This moment, his name for Qing Yu suddenly changed to pupil master. It seems that he has noticed the difference in his eyes. It seems that he has admitted his identity, and the voice fell. Qing Yu raised his eyebrows slightly and chuckled. Am I making a move? Then, please don't be too surprised. Because this battle is likely to end in a very short time. As soon as this word came out, the surroundings seemed to calm down suddenly. Uchiha Obito and Orochimaru held their minds at the same time. They know, the fiercest battle is about to unfold. This is a battle between King Scourge and Susanoo, and at the same time, a battle between True Eye of the Evil King and Mangekyo Sharingan. No doubt, it is impossible for them not to be nervous. After all, it concerns everything after them. It's too late to say. Fast then. Just after Qing Yu's voice fell, suddenly. I saw the king of black robe sky above him, who suddenly took a step, raising his hand and slashing out. Boom. The black sword pressure burst out in an instant, followed the sharp silver sword and rushed straight out. That terrifying speed, like a falling star. And at the moment, Uchiha Madara didn't care about it, and immediately controlled Susanoo to jump up suddenly. 077 at the same time, he suddenly raised the chakra blade in both hands and swung the blade suddenly downward. Boom. Similarly, the two extremely magnificent dark blue chakra sword oars instantly formed a cross shape and directly blasted towards the dark sword pressure on the opposite side. Puffing. At the moment when the sword pressure of King Scourge and Susanoo's chakra sword collided, countless sparks exploded in an instant. The deafening sound of explosion spread across the sky in an instant. And the next moment, the explosion is not over yet. Heavenly Scourge Ming Wong shot again, directly towards the top of the sky, from bottom to top, slashed directly in the opposite direction. And this time, it was just a moment when the blade was swung. Bang! The earth under its feet was torn apart in an instant. The violent wind and the restless smoke and dust are all showing the power of this trick. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Madara's face suddenly condensed, not dare to be careless. Directly controlling Susanoo, with chakra's double knives, he directly slashed the silver blade that was swung below. This is destined to be a head-to-head battle. Above Susanoo's double knives, the dark blue chakra flame is surging like a surging storm. And on the giant blade of King Heavenly Scourge, there is a jet black sword pressure, like an evil ghost that is about to destroy, screaming presumptuously. Roar. In the boundless roar, the blades of the two sides slammed together. In an instant, lightning and thunder, fire bursting. Countless shockwaves broke out in an instant at this moment. The bright blue and black, above the sky, seemed to be dyed into an explosion picture. However, next moment, a picture that horrified everyone present appeared. I saw the front, above Susanoo's arms, the two dark blue chakra blades exploded at the moment they collided with the sword of King Scourge. This picture, in an instant, everyone present numbed their scalp and froze on the spot. What? The power of God was actually chopped up. Chapter 238. Actually I'm a sniper, shoot him Shinsō. Subscription required. Advertisement. The deep blue explosive flames are blooming in the sky like fireworks. However, when the silver giant blade swept past, the storm it brought up instantly emptied the surrounding sparks. On Susanoo's hands, the chakra blades burst all together. Countless storms, booming, bang. The sound of the explosion was like thunder. It blew up directly in the sky, setting off countless shockwaves and suddenly spreading. This moment, the audience is silent, whether it's Uchiha Madara driving Susanoo, or Obito and Orochimaru watching the battle in the distance. At this moment, all froze stiffly. Especially Uchiha Madara, it was the first time that deep shock and incredible horror appeared in his eyes. What happened? How can this be? My complete body Susanoo was cut off by him. Taken by this summoning samurai's ordinary sword. In a short moment, Uchiha Madara's thoughts were directly interrupted, and his brain was almost blank. This situation has never happened before. Not to mention ordinary ninja enemies, even Senju Hashirama, known as the god of ninjas, has not destroyed Susanoo so easily. This is directly beyond the common sense of Uchiha Madara. So that at this moment, he directly involuntarily froze. And at this time, far below, Uchiha Obito, who was watching the situation here, suddenly changed his face and became stiff. No wrong. What's wrong with this weird feeling? Uchiha Madara's Susanoo is not better than Qing Yu's summoning beast. Just now, he also felt that the reason why the armor of the summoning warrior shattered might be because Susanoo was too powerful. But now it seems, this is so special, who is too strong? Uchiha Obito was completely stupid. But at this moment, Between the electric light and flint, the mutation happened again. Base. The Kingming Jianming, carrying the hurricane, still waved upward in a fierce posture. After slashing Susanoo's ears and chakra, the blade of King Scourge Ming did not stop, but was about to approach Susanoo's body. Obviously, after slashing the blade, his purpose is to slash Susanoo's body. Aware of this, Uchiha Madara's heart shrank suddenly, and his face was also difficult to look at. With such a fast cutting speed, it is basically impossible to steer Suzuo's body to avoid it in this distance. Then there is only hard resistance. Drink. Uchiha Madara's eyes sharpened sharply, her face condensed, and she let out a cold drink, and in an instant he injected the large amount of chakra in his body into Susanoo. Among them, most of them are placed in front of Suzuo's chest, and the armor is constantly stacked to resist the opponent's attack. He hasn't used this technique for a long time, last time. Still playing against Senju Hashirama, boom. Just when Uchiha Madara's strongest defensive barrier was stacked. The blade of King Scourge Ming also happened to be slashed on Susanoo's chest. With the collision of the two, the boundless storm, instantly under the collision of flame and sword pressure, made a deafening roar. Bang! The flames in the sky exploded. The earth under your feet disintegrated in an instant. For a moment, there is a delicate balance between King Scourge Ming's sword and Susanoo's armor. The sword swinging can't go any further, and the defensive Susanoo armor also perfectly blocked it. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Obito's heart suddenly shocked. Blocked? Did you make it? As expected, Uchiha Madara, sure enough, there is still one set? Obito's heart suddenly couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. In his past cognition, it seems that no one has ever been able to block Qing Yu's attack, but now, Uchiha Madara has done it. Advertisement at this time, Madara and Susanoo, seeing this picture, couldn't help but flash in her eyes. Afterwards, he turned his indifferent gaze to Qing Yu below and said indifferently with an expression of no joy and no sadness. Good attack power, it should be obtained after giving up the defense of the whole body. In this entire ninja world, it is the first one that can cut off my Uchiha Madara's Susa sword in this way. But, it's over here, next, please leave it. The moment the voice fell, Uchiha Madara's Mangekyo Sharingan flashed suddenly, emitting a chilling blood-red light. I saw Susanoo raised his arms high, suddenly, stare. The dark blue flame ignited again, and the next moment, it was directly condensed into two giant swords, held in Susanoo's hand. The twin blades of the disintegrated Suzu appeared again. And this time, Uchiha Madara's eyes were stunned. Without any hesitation, he directly controlled Suzuo with a pair of knives, and immediately slashed it towards the King of Heavenly Scourge below. Boom! In an instant, a blue burst of sword energy gushed out, directly submerging the King of Scourge Ming. Seeing this picture, Orochimaru and Obito below have changed their faces. This starting to fight back? As expected of Ninja Shura, this kind of fighting rhythm is unheard of. So, how will this Scourge Ming Wong respond? Do not. Wrong. How will Qing Yu respond? Obito and Orochimaru's gaze, at the same time, looked solemnly in Qing Yu's direction. However, at this look, they were suddenly dumbfounded. What happened? What about Qing Yu from TM? Disappeared. The two of them were just like hell, and they were directly stupid. Because they were too focused on the battle between Susao and Mingwang before, they ignored everything around them. Until this moment, they suddenly noticed, I don't know when, Qing Yu's figure has disappeared under the Heavenly Scourge Ming King, and he has nowhere to go. And at the moment, Uchiha Madara naturally noticed it immediately, and his expression was shocked. Disappeared? What's going on? At this moment, Madara was naturally a little confused. When he just spoke, he clearly saw that Qing Yu was standing underneath without moving. How come this has just finished swinging the sword? That guy is gone, however, just when he doubted. Suddenly, the vision above the Heavenly Scourge Ming King suddenly attracted his attention. His gaze immediately lifted subconsciously, and once again looked in the direction of King Heavenly Scourge. And at this moment, the scene that made him bewildered on the spot appeared. I saw the front, the violent chakra sword energy that Susanoo slashed, for some reason, was shrinking rapidly. As if being swallowed by a black hole, and when all the sword aura disappeared. But see above, a black figure. Standing on the right shoulder of King Tianqiming, with a leisurely smile on his face, he raised his right hand. And those Susanoo's chakra sword auras were sucked into the palm of his palm. This figure is not someone else, but it is Qing Yu who just disappeared. Seeing this picture, this time, whether it was Uchiha Madara or Uchiha Leader, all froze. Advertisement this, what happened? Turned the attack into chakra and absorbed it directly into the body? Isn't this TM a seal of Rinnegan's seal? How can this guy do it? His golden evil king really still has this ability. The two of them were immediately sluggish, and at this moment, I saw Qing Yu slowly retracted his hand, and chuckled as if talking to himself. So this is Susanoo's chakra, it's not bad. As soon as the voice fell, the audience was completely silent. Susanoo's chakra is just not bad, suddenly. Uchiha Madara's eyes condensed, and his mind instantly sank, and he waved his double knives again, and slashed towards the King of Scourge. However, this time, his goal has simply become Qing Yu. He has basically realized it. What is really difficult is this uninvited guest, the ever-burning pupil in the Akatsuki organization. Only by defeating him can this battle be completely ended. And this time, the huge dark blue chakra double blade did not choose to explode sword energy, but directly slashed at Qing Yu with fierceness. Simple, crude, and completely a battle of crushing streams. It is also his Uchiha Madara's consistent fighting style. But at this moment, Qing Yu below just raised his eyes indifferently. Suddenly, he put his hand on the blade of his waist, and immediately pulled out. What? The sound of a clear sword sounded, and the silver knife flashed. Boom! Susanoo's dark blue double-edged blade, the moment he swung it down, was actually blocked by the knife in Qing Yu's hand. No matter how hard you use, you can't continue to go one step further. This moment, however, Qing Yu's golden pupil flickered. While raising the knife with one hand, he lightly lifted Suzuo's double-edged blades, while just speaking indifferently. Scourge, you don't need to hold back your strength. As soon as this word came out, all the people present were stunned. No need to hold back your strength? What's the meaning? However, before they had time to react, suddenly, an incomparable low roar instantly came out of King Scourge Ming's mouth. Roar. Next moment, Jiao Jiao. I saw a violent black Ryotsu on his right arm, surging out in an instant. Follow the palm of your hand to the handle, and finally, to the blade. Just like the strength that has been accumulated for a long time, it will burst out in an instant. Boom. Susanoo, who had perfectly blocked the giant blade, was instantly shattered by the explosion of Ryotsu on the giant blade at this moment. Bang! Accompanied by a loud blast. Uchiha Madara's dark blue Susanoo. In this moment, the crack instantly spread from the chest, like a spider silk, spread in an instant. In the end, it broke completely. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Obito and Orochimaru, who watched the game, changed their faces on the spot. Their eyes widened, like hell. Uchiha Madara's pupils shrank suddenly. His face changed quickly, and his heart sank. I wanted to quickly stabilize Susanoo's form by outputting chakra. But at this moment, seeing the front, on the right shoulder of King Heavenly Scourge, Qing Yu suddenly raised the knife in his hand slightly, and the tip of the knife was facing Uchiha Madara in Susanoo here. Afterwards, his golden pupils flickered slightly, grinned lightly, and smiled. Actually, I am a sniper. Shoot him, husband, Shinsō. Chapter 239 Impure World Reincarnation is broken. Sword of God, seeking subscription. Advertisement. After hearing what Qing Yu said, Uchiha Madara among Susanoo was shocked, his face slightly startled. Shinsō, sniper, what's the meaning? Before he understood the meaning of this sentence. Next moment, the picture below suddenly made his pupils shrink. I saw that in Qing Yu's hand, the originally plain silver blade suddenly stretched out in an instant. The tip of the knife was like a bullet, piercing the air instantly, and at lightning speed, it swept directly in front of Susanoo. Uchiha Madara's eyes condensed, and his face changed slightly. He suddenly understood Shinsō. It turned out to be this knife. Immediately after, his eyes sank. Shout, is it a special endurance tool that can stretch quickly? Children only play this kind of sneak attack trick. In Madara's eyes, suddenly revealed a shameless look. Before, of course, he also noticed that Qing Yu always had a knife hanging around his waist. But because he has not used it, Madara thought it was just his decoration. Unexpectedly, after actually using it now, it is actually just a ninja sword with retractable function. To be honest, he is accustomed to seeing strong winds and waves. Of course, he is somewhat disdainful of such things. Think at the beginning, he has come to fight from various battlefields, and he has never seen any scenes before. All kinds of bells and whistles, he has seen it all over again. In comparison, this telescopic sword in Qing Yu's hand, except for its speed, has almost no dazzling features. As long as you control Susanoo's defense, you can easily deal with it. However, before he had time to think about how to deal with it, the scene happening before his eyes once again ruthlessly broke his cognition. I saw the front. When the tip of Shinsō's knife rushed above Susanoo, it still seemed to be holding it. But at the next moment, above the entire Susanoo, all the cracks, in this moment, unexpectedly expanded. Finally, with the tip of Qing Yu's knife as the center, all the cracks broke directly in an instant. Boom. 077 The deafening explosion suddenly sounded. The dark blue chakra flame is like being swept by a violent wind, bursting out a gorgeous tongue of flame. There was a huge gap in Susanoo's chest, but at the moment. But no one cares about this picture at all, because a more horrifying picture appeared. The silver blade in Qing Yu's hand, after breaking through Susanoo's defense. Not only did it show no signs of stopping or slowing down, but instead headed straight for the real Uchiha Madara inside. Even the speed suddenly more than doubled. Bang. The terrifying speed even directly exceeded the speed of sound, passing through the air, bringing up the sound of sonic boom. This moment, not only Uchiha Madara himself, even Orochimaru and Uchiha Obito, who were watching the game, shrank their pupils and froze. They held their breath involuntarily, and they couldn't believe what was happening before them. How can this be? What's the situation? Just with a shinobi sword, Susanoo's defense was directly cut through? Even if the summoning samurai's slash is in front, this is too ridiculous, right? However, but they can't let them think more at this moment. Between the electric light and flint, the blade has swept away quickly. Even Uchiha Madara, whose reaction ability far exceeds that of ordinary people, can't react at all in this situation. He had to gritted his teeth, flashed away subconsciously, and raised his right arm, trying to block the rushing knife. And, the moment he raised his right arm, base. The silver blade flashed, and in an instant, puff. Advertisement. The blade that originally rushed forward, under the slight movement in Qing Yu's hand, suddenly picked it up and turned into a bottom-up slash. It's like the light of a crescent moon passing through. Puff! Uchiha Madara's right arm, under this extremely fast blade, it was directly cut off. Bang! Since it is a dirty body, there is no blood spurting out. However, this chopped arm still reverted to the form of filthy soil within an instant and fell down. And at this time, the silver knife light suddenly flashed, shrank quickly, and returned to Qing Yu's hands again. The extremely long blade just now ceased to exist in just half a second. In the hands of Qing Yu, only one short sword, which resembled a dagger, was 1 foot long. Exudes a breathtaking silver light, and within Susanoo. Now, Uchiha Madara is still floating in the air. Right arm, completely cut off, after a brief horror. His face sank again. He first glanced at the crack of Susanoo that was broken open. After that, he looked at Qing Yu below with a senrin gaze. His face was extremely cold, and he said solemnly. Huh, can even my Susanoo break open completely? No wonder Obito cares about you so much, but... After all, your attack is of no avail. Suzuo was broken. With my chakra, it can be repaired instantly. Like this, as soon as the voice fell, Uchiha Madara's Mangekyo Sharingan flashed again. Stare. The moment when chakra broke out, Susanoo, the fractured complete body, was completely repaired again in an instant, no different from before. Originally, Uchiha Madara's chakra volume was surprisingly large, not to mention that it was still under impure world reincarnation. In this state, chakra is completely infinite. No matter how much chakra and physical strength Susanoo consumes, it is nothing to him in this state. And then, he just took a look at his severed arm, and then showed an indifferent expression, looking at Qing Yu, still proudly said. By destroying Suzuo, attack my true body, I have to admit. This is the perfect strategy, however, you have overlooked a point. The flesh of the impure world reincarnation possesses the characteristics of immortality. No matter how strong the attack is, it can be high-speed regeneration in a very short time. Even if the heart is pierced and the brain is destroyed, it will not help. Like this. While talking, Uchiha Madara raised her broken right arm slightly. It seems that the high-speed regeneration that wants to speed up the arm is average, and his face is indifferent. However, after a while, but still nothing happened. Uchiha Madara's brow furrowed slightly, and her heart became confused. What happened? When did the recovery speed of impure world reincarnation become so slow? It stands to reason, it should have taken effect, ACEG. The audience was silent. A few seconds passed again. However, still nothing happened. Even if Uchiha Madara just said, he is as confident as he was repairing Susanoo before. But this time, the picture he was looking forward to did not appear at all. The broken arm is still a broken arm. The wounds of the dirty soil are clearly visible. However, but there is no sign of regeneration far away. Uchiha Obito, who saw this picture, was also slightly stunned. What's the situation? The chopped hand is not recovered. This although he does not know the impure world reincarnation technique, of course he also knows the undead characteristics of the undead. Advertisement. Even if Uchiha Madara took the initiative to cancel the summoning contract of impure world reincarnation, it would not change this feature at all. So, if the problem is not on impure world reincarnation, that is there a problem with Qing Yu's knife? Aware of this, Obito was stunned for a moment, and suddenly felt that it was very possible. Immediately looked at Qing Yu over there, his face suddenly hard to look. And at the moment, within Susanoo, Uchiha Madara naturally began to realize this. In an instant, his pupils began to shrink, his gaze slowly moved downward, and a drop of cold sweat appeared on his forehead for the first time. What's the matter with his knife? Actually possess the power to suppress impure world reincarnation. No, it's not right, this is the power of his sword. Still his evil king's true eyes. After such a long time, the arm did not start to recover. The problem can already be explained. The slash just now. It's definitely not as simple as it seems. As Uchiha Madara's expression changed, the atmosphere on the court was instantly suppressed to its lowest level. Yake was silent. It seems that the air has become a lot heavier. However, at this time, far away on the other side, Orochimaru, also a spectator, grinned deeply, laughing. He is laughing wildly. At this moment, his eyes were full of excitement. Scene. Finally saw Master Qing Yu drawing his sword again. God's sword technique to sever the soul. He, who has always been cunning, couldn't help but boil with blood at this moment. When I saw this knife last time, it was during Konoha's Chunin exam. Then, Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, in desperate situation, in order to kill Qing Yu and Orochimaru. At the cost of life, the forbidden technique Ghoulish Seal was used. Summoned the Shinigami god who could devour the soul. However, when Shinigami's arm was about to lock Qing Yu, he directly drew the knife and cut off the arm. Subsequently, he even lightly slashed the arm of Shinigami that had devoured Orochimaru. Superb skills. In an instant, Orochimaru realized the dazzling charm. This is the ultimate technique. Therefore, when Uchiha Madara just said that his arm would recover, Orochimaru couldn't help but laugh in an instant. Had it not been for the occasion, he would have started laughing wildly. Yes, impure world reincarnation can indeed high-speed regeneration. However, that is also based on the integrity of the soul. However, after being hacked by Qing Yu's Zanpakutō Shinsō, the soul will immediately die and cease to exist. The third Kazekage of the dirty soil that year was killed by Qing Yu with a single knife, and could not continue to maintain the state of the dirty soil and completely disappeared. And Sasori of the Red Sand in the desert, because of his death by the sword, he could not be impure world reincarnation. Now, Uchiha Madara had his right arm amputated. It seems that Qing Yu's knife only cut off his body, but in fact it also cut off this part of the soul. Just as the ghoul seal can seal both arms, his knife can do the same. In other words, from now on, regardless of whether Uchiha Madara is impure world reincarnation or is completely resurrected, this arm is basically equivalent to completely scrapped. Just because of this, Orochimaru couldn't help showing excitement to know, as the existence that was once at the pinnacle of the ninja world. Uchiha Madara's reputation has always been suppressed on the entire ninja world. It can be said, in addition to first Hokage Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara, it is synonymous with God, but now. However, Qing Yu completed the feat of slashing the gods in an extremely relaxed situation. Chapter 240 Qing Yu. After all, I am not a demon, seeking subscription. Advertisement. After a long silence, Uchiha Madara and Susanoo gradually darkened his face. With an unprecedented solemn expression, both lowered his eyes and stared at Qing Yu closely and said coldly, "What is this ability?" Unexpectedly, it can suppress the regeneration characteristics of impure world reincarnation. "Is it your knife? Or your eyes?" As soon as the voice fell, the Senran voice echoed above the sky. And at the moment, after hearing this, Qing Yu's expression remained unchanged. He just raised his eyes slightly, turned the knife in his hand lightly in his palm, and then chuckled lightly. "It seems, you seem to finally realize the problem, Madara. So, the knife or the eye? Even if this problem is myself, it is difficult to explain clearly to you. But would you like to try another knife? Maybe you will find the answer." As soon as this word came out, Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito were stunned for a while. Try another knife. This TM is crazy. It can suppress the attack of impure world reincarnation. If the heart or body is destroyed, wouldn't it be the end of it? Damn it, let this guy pretend again. However, just when the two of them were indignant. This moment, Qing Yu actually raised his hand again, and rearranged the silver short sword in his hand, with the tip of the knife still facing the Uchiha Madara in front of him. Seeing this picture, Uchiha Madara's face suddenly sank. Next moment, so he dignifiedly raised his right hand and posed a Jeian posture with one hand. It seemed that he was preparing to use one-handed Jeian to release a special kind of ninjutsu. No doubt, judging from his sharp eyes at this moment, he no longer regards Qing Yu in front of him as a young ninja who is just emerging. Instead, he regarded him as an adversary, not an enemy like trash fish. Instead, like Senju Hashirama, a real enemy who threatens his life. Then, this moment, he decided not to have any reservations anymore. We must find a way and do our best to defeat him. However, at this moment, after seeing this picture, Uchiha Obito on the side not only did not have any excitement or expectations, but suddenly froze. Then, after realizing what Uchiha Madara was about to do, his heart was shocked, his face changed drastically, and he gritted his teeth abruptly. Not good, it's definitely not good, after experiencing that Qing Yu's attack. Uchiha Madara not only didn't give birth to a retreat, but he planned to fight him seriously. But isn't this more risky? In case the guy's sword. If he has the ability to absolutely suppress impure world reincarnation, then Uchiha Madara is very likely to die here today. In this way, don't talk about Project Tsuki no Mi in the back. Announced in advance to bathe. Uchiha Obito's face is ugly. He was unquestionably clear that after Qing Yu appeared, the current ninja world had become too complicated. It is impossible to complete the infinite Tsukuyomi project by relying on his alone strength. Therefore, Uchiha Madara must survive. Not only must we survive, we must also quickly recapture Rinnegan and return to her true peak strength. Only in this way can it be possible to defeat Shao and Qing Yu. Thought of here, Uchiha Obito gritted his teeth abruptly, no more hesitation. He decided to act. Kamui, stare. The moment chakra surge, Mangekyo Sharingan suddenly activated. Base. Before I saw his right eye, an invisible space Uzumaki suddenly appeared. In an instant, he swallowed his body directly and disappeared in place. Next moment, base, the Uzumaki of the space suddenly appeared behind Uchiha Madara. Seeing this picture, not only Uchiha Madara himself, Orochimaru in the distance was also shocked. What is Obito doing? Suddenly use space ninjutsu to go behind Madara? Advertisement. At this time, Madara frowned suddenly and said in a deep voice. Obito, what are you doing? And at this time, Obito's face was particularly solemn, and in an unprecedented tough tone, he said solemnly. It's rude, Lord Madara, however, I don't have time to explain to you. The moment the voice fell, he suddenly put his hand on Uchiha Madara's left shoulder, and then Mangekyo Sharingan started again. Stare. The coquettish red light flashed. Uzumaki, the invisible space, appeared in front of his right eye again. But this time, he was not the only one who was distorted, but also the dirty Uchiha Madara in front of him. Uchiha Madara's heart was shocked. You? However, he hasn't finished speaking yet. Base. The body has already been drawn into the Kamui space along with Obito, and disappeared in place. In an instant. Boom. The entire dark blue Susanoo, because of the loss of Uchiha Madara, the maintainer, disappeared directly and turned into an explosive chakra. And at the moment, Orochimaru below was completely stunned. His eyes widened, like hell, with an expression of disbelief. This moment, he suddenly understood the reason why Uchiha Obito suddenly used time and space ninjutsu to teleport over was not to help. Instead, take Uchiha Madara forcibly, aware of this. Orochimaru couldn't help but breathe in a cold breath. Have to say, Uchiha Obito, it's true I originally thought that according to Uchiha Madara's arrogance, he would definitely fight Qing Yu here to the end. At that time, with the full strength of Master Qing Yu, he can definitely find a way to forcibly kill Uchiha Madara and achieve the achievement of destroying God. Unexpectedly, this Go Obito actually realized this possibility. Took him away this thought of here, Orochimaru suddenly showed a funny expression again. Spray, I don't know how Uchiha Madara would react when he knew the battle he was forced to flee from. While he was thinking ahead with the disappearance of Susanoo. The huge summoning warrior beside Qing Yu, the black robe sky who was the king, also turned into a black light in an instant and disappeared. Qing Yu still had a leisurely look and fell on the ground. His eyes, still as calm as water, it can even be said that there is a feeling that everything is expected. And at the moment, seeing this picture, Orochimaru suddenly couldn't help but startled, and he was surprised. After that, he who had recovered a long time ago, instantly came to Qing Yu's side with a vigorous posture. His eyes flashed slightly, and he asked cautiously. Qing Yu-sama, I noticed that you don't seem to care about their departure? As soon as this word came out, Qing Yu suddenly looked over, and while arbitrarily retracting the knife in his hand into the sheath, he grinned and said. Careful, of course I care. However, seeing Orochimaru's expression on his face, he was suddenly caught in the circle. Care? This cares about a fart? This TM you have been laughing wildly? Never stopped at all. Just when he was stunned, Qing Yu suddenly turned his head, his golden pupil flashed slightly, and said with a chuckle. Do not worry, everything you witnessed is in my plan. Obito's sudden action is the same, let them go. Just to make them more useful pawns. Hearing this, Orochimaru was shocked, and his pupils suddenly enlarged. This piece, the dignified ninja Shiro Uchiha Madara has become a chess piece with Master Qing Yu? Advertisement this is too big, right? Orochimaru couldn't help being shocked. 0. Seeking flowers he suddenly understood, no wonder just now. When Uchiha Obito acted, Qing Yu did not directly use Zanpakutō but deliberately left them time to escape. It turned out that it was all for that mysterious plan. While Orochimaru was meditating, the other side. Qing Yu suddenly raised his hand and knocked in the air at will. Puff! A crack appeared in the space, and then it shattered, revealing a black cavity of nothingness. Subsequently, as he walked into it, he chuckled and said loudly. Let's go, Orochimaru. Take me to meet Uchiha Sasuke. The next chess, he will also be a crucial step. The voice fell, Orochimaru, who was thinking about it, stopped breathing for a while and froze. Sas give. This, he is actually Qing Yu-sama's pawn? It's still EF G crucial step. This is Lord Qing Yu already taking the entire ninja world as a chess game. Hiss. While sucking in cold air on one side, his hairs couldn't help standing upside down. But even so, he bit the bullet, hastily stepped to keep up. Although he doesn't understand the content of Qing Yu's plan at all. But, Qing Yu has saved him more than once. 0. Regardless of the reason, Orochimaru certainly wants to be the first bystander of the plan. If you can be a practitioner, then naturally better. After the two stepped into the black cavity, the space crack closed suddenly and ceased to exist. On the entire grassland, there is only a mess and countless ruins after the war. And at the moment, in the passage of the black cavity, Orochimaru is stepping on the Lingza Avenue constructed by Qing Yu, walking behind him. After hesitating for a moment, he still spoke carefully. Qing Yu-sama. If you ask Sasuke, do you want him to join the Palace of the Night? Or is it Akatsuki? Orochimaru asked curiously. Qing Yu was not angry either, but replied without hesitation with a leisurely expression. Oh, neither. As soon as these words came out, Orochimaru felt sorry. It's neither joining Shuyi Palace, nor joining Shao, where else can it be? It is impossible for him to join Uchiha Madara and Obito's camp, right? However, just when he thought of this, Qing Yu seemed to have guessed his thoughts and the light in his eyes flickered slightly, and he chuckled. Yes, he is joining the camp of Uchiha Madara and Obito. As soon as this word came out, suddenly, Orochimaru's heart halted suddenly, stunned on the spot. FK. What's the special situation? Let Sasuke join the G Obito and Madara side, damn it. All thoughts, in an instant, it was completely interrupted. Even Orochimaru, who has always been good at conspiracy theories, couldn't help but completely blank his brain at this moment. I can't keep up with Qing Yu's thoughts at all, and at this time. Qing Yu suddenly turned his head slightly, looked at Orochimaru, showing a gentle smile, and said. Well, I am not a demon after all. So, before letting Sasuke join their camp, let's give a big version of it. For example, implant Senju Hashirama cells. Let him get Sage Body and awaken Rinnegan. Qing Yu's chess plan has finally been officially rolled out. Chapter 241 The Desperate Sasuke, slap her face on the spot, seeking subscription. Advertisement. Wait, what's the situation? Not only must Sasuke take refuge in Uchiha Obito and Madara. Actually want to strengthen his strength? Senju Hashirama Cell? Sage Body? Rinnegan? When Qing Yu's leisurely voice fell. At this moment, Orochimaru's pupils dilated instantly, his expression was dull, and he froze stiffly. For a while, he didn't even react at all, however. After a while, when he understood what Qing Yu meant, the whole body was shocked, and the shock and disbelief in my heart couldn't be more. If it was before, when hearing these few words, there is no doubt that Orochimaru will listen to it as Qing Yu's joke. After all, these shocking words appeared at the same time in just a few seconds. What a ridiculous thing, this TM is simply too magical. In other words, you must be a lunatic, but Qing Yu at this moment is different. Just now, with an extremely tough posture, he almost completely crushed Uchiha Madara, who is known as Ninja Shira, from 3 aspects: physical skills, ninjutsu and pupil skills. In the end, he even directly called him a chess piece. With such a tyrannical strength and such a huge structure, it can be said that Orochimaru has only seen it once in his life. Therefore, in an outrageous plan, after speaking out of his mouth, they were incredibly persuasive. Even Qing Yu's words, 077, also directly let him master a few new knowledge points. Original, after Senju Hashirama's cell transplantation, the superwood-style physique he obtained is called Sage Body. Also, the so-called Rinnegan seems to have to be based on Sage Body and Sharingan in order to be awakened. In other words, Rinnegan turned out to be a high-level upgrade of Sharingan. Aware of these points, Orochimaru took a cold breath on the spot, feeling that his hairs were standing upright. He is a scientist. Before he defected to Konoha, he has cooperated with Shimura Danzo, the first pot king of Konoha, and carried out a large number of experiments on wood style. In an attempt to suppress Senju Hashirama's cells, he will create a super ninja that can control the wood style as Konoha's backbone. It can even be said that a low-profile version of Ninja God was copied. But it's a pity. Most people can't bear the domineering Hashirama cells at all, and have a very serious rejection reaction, and finally die. In the end, the only experimental body that was successfully transplanted, Yamato, was also missed by Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. And, the power of its wood style is not as powerful as Orochimaru imagined. If you compare the power of First Hokage's wood style to the vast sea of huge trees, then Yamato's wood style, at most, is the standard of 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. It can't be compared at all. Therefore, now after many years, Orochimaru basically abandoned the study of Hashirama cells long ago and left it behind. But I didn't expect now. I heard it from Qing Yu's mouth again. After being stunned for a long time, a drop of sweat was drawn on Orochimaru's forehead. After that, he barely cracked the corners of his mouth, squeezed out an ugly smile, and said carefully, Qing Yu-sama, First Hokage's cells are indeed very powerful. However, would it be too rash to transplant it to SARS? After all, the powerful repulsive force of its cells makes it difficult to control its mortality. Maybe it will kill him on the spot. Moreover, I am not sure to persuade him who has always been stubborn to take the initiative to accept cell transplantation. Orochimaru's smile was stiff, and he tentatively said, these words of him, it's not because of some selfishness towards Uchiha Sasuke or something. It is expounding the basic facts. After all, since he brought Sasuke to his base, Sasuke's bad temper has basically not changed at all. Advertisement, it is always the appearance of a tail up to the sky, and it can even be said to be defiant. Not to mention the danger of Hashirama cells, just let him accept the transplant, I am afraid it will waste a lot of energy. However, at this moment, after hearing Orochimaru's words, Qing Yu still smiles. Kabuto walked forward leisurely with both hands in, while casually chuckled and said, do not worry. Since I proposed this plan, I have already figured out how to get him to agree. Moreover, Hashirama cell, I will also find a way to suppress it. So don't worry, just watch the show. As soon as this word came out, Orochimaru was stunned immediately, breathing involuntarily. Wait, what's the situation? What's so special? Even First Hokage's cells can find a way to suppress it? This TM is a bit too outrageous, right Suya Palace? How many hidden secrets are there? Orochimaru couldn't help but feel ashamed. Subsequently, then he smiled stiffly and nodded, saying, Ming, understand, in the Black Cavity, on the Lingza Avenue constructed by Qing Yu. The two walked in silence, all the way towards the secret base guided by Orochimaru. And at the moment, in front of Qing Yu's gaze, there was a faint smile. This time with Uchiha Madara, it really benefited a lot. This is not to say the benefit in combat, after all. Most of what Qing Yu uses are old tricks. The only different trick is to absorb Susanoo chakra, which is done through props in the mall. Therefore, after a battle, in terms of combat experience, he really didn't benefit much. What really benefits is Qing Yu's thinking, after this short battle. The embryonic form of Qing Yu's peace plan, finally began to gradually take shape and stabilize. Think at the beginning, when Qing Yu talked to Nagato and Konan about the so-called checks and balances of deterrence, peace plan, he said, for the ninja world to achieve long-term peace, there must be a balance of checks and balances. First of all, within the ninja realm, there must be an organization capable of surpassing the 5 major powers, acting as a square deterrent and commanding the operation of the ninja realm. And secondly, outside the ninja realm, there must also be an organization that can bear the evils of the whole world, acting as a deterrent to the opposition and overwhelming the entire ninja realm. Thus, the hatred of the whole ninja world will be led to the powerful opposition organization, so as to unite together and accept the command of the square. But, although talking about this plan at the time, but it was just a general direction in Qing Yu's mind. What is the specific pros and cons of the organization? It has always been in an unknowable state. Qing Yu didn't make a final decision either. But now, after a battle with Uchiha Madara of Impure World Reincarnation, Qing Yu's thoughts seemed to be suddenly opened. Daigo empowered and suddenly realized, villain organization? Isn't this very obvious already? Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito together. Regardless of purpose or strength, it completely meets the conditions of being a big villain. And, plus behind their infinite Tsukuyomi project. There is also a vaguely more tyrannical alien boss Otsutsuki Kagaya. No matter how you look at it, they are even more uncertain about their villain situation. In other words, Qing Yu doesn't have to create a villain organization to deter the ninja world, just push the boat along the river. Just think of a way to make the strength of Uchiha Madara and Obito gradually stronger. Finally, Master, 10 Tails, they will definitely be able to dominate the ninja world. 5 great nations, no one will be their opponent. And until that time, Qing Yu only needs to lead Nagato and Konan to appear in a positive image. As the Dawn of Ninja World, come and lead the 5 great nations to fight against them who are opponents. Thus, directly establish the position of Ninja World leader. Advertisement completely form a situation of checks and balances. But, this plan, there is only one loophole, and that is one. The power of the villain, in the early stage, seems to be too monotonous, and the sense of oppression is not too. To this end, Qing Yu began to think of the first step of this plan. That is instigate rebellion and strengthen Uchiha Sasuke. The term, insurrection, may not be accurate. After all, this Urzuzi had already lost his mind in Shinobi a long time ago, and only wanted to avenge his brother Uchiha Itachi. Even, objectively speaking, everything he is doing now is completely prepared for revenge. And Qing Yu's goal is to find a way to let him join Madara and Obito, and become one of the great villains in the ninja world with them. Therefore, this second pillar needs a major version of reinforcement. After all, after going through the night of genocide, he was angry at the Order of Guyu, and his strength is indeed a little too insufficient. Not to mention the 5 shadows against countries. With his current strength, even if he hit a tailed beast Jinchuriki, he might be beaten by someone and slapped directly in the face. Yes, talking about the Kingdom of Thunder 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer B. Have to admit, although the second pillar is progressing fast. But there are still too few plugins. Even the game Uchiha Itachi in the original book relied on his brother's serious release of water and barely managed to win. Later, when fighting against Raikage, it was even more serious. The big villain just like this, of course not. Qing Yu, as the #1 planner in the ninja world, certainly does not allow this to happen. Therefore, he wants to manually issue a new plugin to Sasuke. Rinnegan. As we all know, Rinnegan can only have a chance of awakening if he has both Ashura and Indra powers. Therefore, as Indra Chakra reincarnated, if he wants to awaken Rinnegan, of course he needs Hashirama's cells to complement Ashura. And beyond that, there are very few things Qing Yu needs to do. Because, not surprisingly, Uchiha Obito will take the initiative to help complete the second half. After all, in the original work, in order to strengthen his own strength, Obito planned Uchiha Sasuke's revenge plan with one hand, helped him transplant Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan, and brought him to Akatsuki by the way. So, Qing Yu came this time, just to complete the first half of the plan. Soon after, they successfully arrived near Orochimaru's base. The black cavity opens. It reveals the scenery of the outside world. Qing Yu and Orochimaru stepped out, subsequently, 4.6. Orochimaru led Qing Yu towards a dim cave, however. The moment they stepped into the cave, suddenly, an extremely cold youth's voice suddenly came from inside the cave, and he spoke indifferently. Orochimaru, unexpectedly, you would take the initiative to bring new people to this place. The breath of chakra, quite strange and weak. The voice fell, the sound of footsteps immediately followed. Hearing this, Orochimaru's face changed slightly for a while. Of course he knows, the person who said this is Uchiha Sasuke. And at this moment, a gray-white figure slowly walked out of the cave, his eyes cold and expressionless. It was Uchiha Sasuke 3 years later. Now, his eyes slowly passed over Orochimaru's face, and then he looked at the black figure behind him. Indifferent, arrogant, and pretentious, however. When he saw Qing Yu's face thoroughly, suddenly, the calm pupils suddenly shrank, and his face changed drastically on the spot. It's you. Chapter 242. The weather has cleared and the rain has stopped, and Urzuzi feels that he is okay again, seeking subscription. Advertisement. Wait. What's going on? Why does this guy appear here with this attitude? Isn't he the swordsman in Rain Shinobi Village? What is going on? This moment, Sasuke's brain is almost blank, his thoughts are completely interrupted, and he is completely sluggish. He who originally thought this chakra was very strange. When I saw those lonely golden eyes, all remembered. Memories from 3 years ago, like a tide, came quickly. Then, on the eve of the Chunin exam, in order to test out the troublemakers in the outer village in Konoha. In their 7th class, they took the initiative to test Qing Yu, the swordsman who claimed to be from Rain Shinobi, the golden pupil. However, in that short battle, the strength displayed by this guy is completely overwhelming. Whether it is power, speed, nerves of reaction, and ninjutsu ability, they far exceed any of their previous enemies. It's completely a huge gap in levels. Even Kakashi's ninjutsu, in front of his attack, does not have the slightest blocking effect. And, from start to finish, they didn't even touch his body, even once. Finally, he and Uzumaki Naruto was directly defeated by that man with Muji's high-speed ninjutsu. As a result, he lost his qualifications for the Chunin exam. After that, the Konoha collapse plan happened. He was recuperating in the hospital, but he was taken away by Orochimaru and brought here. Knowing his weakness, he decided to accept Orochimaru's strength, stay here, and devote himself to practicing strength. Since then, never heard of news about this golden pupil man again. Moreover, no matter how much he asks Orochimaru, he won't get any information about this man. But, he couldn't think of it, just today, just now. This man with golden pupils appeared again. It is still the Rain Shinobi village uniform. It is still the black knife that is not out of the sheath. They are still those proud golden eyes. Sasuke's gaze slowly changed from shock to solemnity and finally sank. And at this moment, Qing Yu on the opposite side suddenly spoke. "Oh, long time no see Uchiha Sasuke, don't come unharmed?" Inside the cave, Qing Yu raised his eyes slightly, with a gentle smile, spoke very gracefully. Those golden pupils radiated an inviolable noble light in this gloomy cave. He didn't have any psychological fluctuations because of Sasuke's ridicule just now, and he was even laughing. It seems that it's just a greeting between old friends. And at the moment, Orochimaru on the side saw this, and suddenly his eyes flashed. He knows that he doesn't seem to need to spend his tongue to introduce. After all, these two were considered old acquaintances, and they recognized them at first sight. Then, Orochimaru was about to speak to Sasuke and explain his intentions. However, before he opened his mouth, Sasuke on this side suddenly looked indifferent, put his hand on the Kusanagi sword at his waist, and then said indifferently. "Unexpectedly, we would meet again in this place. It looks like Orochimaru took the initiative to bring you here, right?" While talking, I didn't wait for Qing Yu to answer. Suddenly he glanced at Orochimaru who was aside, and said indifferently to himself. "Orochimaru, in the past few years, have you been lying to me? Looking at your appearance, it doesn't look like you have known each other recently. So, suddenly bring him here now, what are you going to do?" Sasuke continued to speak in a nonchalant manner, as if he had dominated the situation on the court in an instant. Even Orochimaru, who has always talked a lot, was overwhelmed by his few words. At the beginning, of course he lied to Sasuke. After all, Qing Yu had already ordered not to mention his information to anyone. Therefore, in addition to Kabuto, in Orochimaru's camp, there is no third person who knows the existence of Qing Yu and the relationship with Orochimaru. So, in the past 3 years, no matter how Sasuke tried, Orochimaru would only answer words like, "don't know," "unclear," and "not interested." And now, it seems that Sasuke is going to get straight to the point. Advertisement. Since he directly placed his hand on the hilt of the Kusanagi sword, it was already possible to explain his position. He is ready to go, ready to fight, at this time. Just as Orochimaru thought, Qing Yu on the side raised his eyebrows and looked at Sasuke. His face was still leisurely, but he smiled very casually. "This surprised me, Sasuke. The battle that year didn't leave you a psychological shadow? Now you dare to draw a sword at me?" As soon as the words fell, Sasuke's face on the opposite side suddenly sank, and then raised his eyes with a sharp look in his eyes. "You mean psychological shadows, shout, the one who should leave a shadow now, it's you." The voice fell, he suddenly took a step. Base. The body suddenly turned into an afterimage and disappeared in place. And the next moment, he unexpectedly appeared behind Qing Yu, like a ghost. And the grass Naruto sword in his hand, I don't know when it has been out of the sheath, the silver blade is directly placed on Qing Yu's neck. The cold light is lingering, and the killing intent is pressing. A series of actions are like moving clouds and flowing water, extremely smooth and fast. Far surpassed the level 3 years ago. Even Orochimaru on the side suddenly shrank his pupils, and then he suddenly reacted. Damn it. When did the instantaneous technique given by SARS become so fierce? However, at this moment, before he can think carefully, he heard Sasuke in front of him, his eyes were sharp, and in an extremely cold tone, he spoke again. "I am now different from 3 years ago. As long as I want, I can kill you with this sword in an instant at any time, plus. Understand." Sasuke's eyes condensed slightly and said in a deep voice. However, after hearing this, Qing Yu, who had his back to him, was still calmly unchanged, his face was leisurely, and he chuckled loudly. "Did you say it is different? I can't feel it. After all, it's still too slow compared to your elder brother Uchiha Itachi." As soon as this was said, Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly. Stuck on the spot, his eyes, from the moment of shock, instantly turned into a complex color of anger. The Kusanagi sword in his hand was gripped tighter, gritted his teeth lightly, and said in a low voice. "Have you seen Uchiha Itachi? That guy, where is it now?" Really, when the name Uchiha Itachi is mentioned, Uchiha Sasuke is particularly blustery. After all, the life of an entire family cannot be explained simply by the word, hate. And at the moment, Qing Yu turned his head slowly, looked at Sasuke, and smiled leisurely. "How? Are you planning to avenge him with this strength? It's sunny, and the rain has stopped. Do you think you can do it again? Don't be funny. Even if he deliberately releases water, you can't win." Qing Yu's words, like a basin of cold water, directly splashed on Urzuzi's body without any scruples. And hearing this, Sasuke, who was still sullen just now, suddenly his eyes fell again. He stared at Qing Yu coldly, finally understood what this guy meant. From the beginning, Qing Yu seems to be constantly degrading his strength, even using his mortal enemy Uchiha Itachi to deliberately suppress him. All this seems a bit unusual. Aware of this, Sasuke's eyes froze for a moment, his wrist moved slightly, and the silver blade was close to Qing Yu's neck once again, and the killing intent suddenly appeared. Immediately, his eyes were indifferent, and he said coldly, "What is your purpose? Are you here just to mock me? Or, do you want me to kill you directly here?" As soon as the voice came out, the atmosphere on the scene dropped to freezing point in an instant. Tensions. It may happen at any time. Even Orochimaru on the side didn't dare to move at all at this moment, for fear that it would disrupt the rhythm of Qing Yu's plan. And at the moment, Qing Yu's eyes shone, facing Sasuke's eyes, smiling and saying, "It's very simple, I want to help you and defeat Uchiha Itachi." As soon as the voice fell, Sasuke was stunned. Breathing stopped involuntarily, advertisement he even. I couldn't reflect the meaning of this sentence, "Help me defeat?" He repeated a sentence unconsciously, his eyes confused. And Qing Yu nodded and smiled. "That's right, but your strength is too weak, you need to strengthen it. It's time for revenge to win even more." As soon as this word came out, Sasuke's pupils shrank and finally reacted. Immediately, his eyes suddenly rose again, and his whole body suddenly burst out with awe-inspiring killing intent, staring at Qing Yu firmly, and said coldly, "Uchiha Itachi, I will defeat it myself. Vengeance is my own business. I don't need anyone's help, I'm already strong enough, I don't need the preaching of a guy like you. Humph, goodbye." The moment the voice fell, chakra broke out in an instant, and saw that on the Kusana sword in his hand, a brilliant blue electric light broke out. Thousand Bird Blade, and the next moment, he stopped showing mercy, cold his eyes, and raised the knife. Base. Under the blue thunder and lightning, the silver sword light drew an extremely swift trajectory, directly passing by Qing Yu's neck. This is a killer move without any gorgeous moves. Seal the throat with a sword, there's no room to speak of. And seeing this picture, Orochimaru's face changed slightly for a while. Sasuke did it right away. This is so special. At this moment, not only did he not worry about Qing Yu being attacked at all, but he was worried about Sasuke who took the shot. Sure enough, the next moment, Sasuke, who was still indifferent, suddenly shrank his pupils and froze. What happened? 077 My Chidori blade unexpectedly missed it. I saw the front, on Qing Yu's neck, there's no sign of scars at this moment. See this? Sasuke's face suddenly sank, and without hesitation, he slashed again, and this time, he went straight to Qing Yu's heart. The blue arc exudes an anxious breath in the air. With the swing of the blade, a magnificent electric light radiated from the sky. And at this time, Qing Yu here still did not move. See this? Sasuke's heart was indifferent. Humph. Ignore my attack? Then, die under your arrogance? Boom. The moment the blade was cut, Sasuke instantly increased the amount of lightning-style chakra released. Countless thunder and lightning suddenly made a sharp Nasi scream, wrapped around the entire blade, extremely sharp. Sing. The sword is finally cut down, however. At this moment, the mutation happened suddenly, but when he saw the front, Qing Yu, who had not moved just now, suddenly raised his hand and directly faced the Kusuna sword. And the next moment, that violent thunder and lightning thousand bird blade unexpectedly stopped 10 centimeters away from Qing Yu's body. It's like being blocked by a huge ban, and can't move on to the next step. It's Qing Yu's hand. With just one index and middle finger, he easily stopped the thousand bird blade grass Naginata sword in Sasuke's hand. This moment, Sasuke's head banged on the spot, and his thoughts were completely broken. His breathing froze involuntarily, and his pupils shrank to the smallest possible within an instant. The brain is blank, unbelievable. However, next, an even more shocking picture appeared. I saw Qing Yu slowly raising his eyes, still with a gentle smile on his face, slightly raised his hand, and said, "Farewell. Just forget it. When did you have the illusion that you are stronger than me?" The voice fell. His hands are slightly stronger. I saw Sasuke's hand, the entire thousand bird blade grass Naginata sword entangled by thunder and lightning. At this moment, it broke directly. Bang. The blue thunder and lightning exploded, and the silver-white knife fragments flew. This moment, Uchiha Sasuke, dumbfounded on the spot.